terrible warning.
Yeah, there should be.
There's a countdown. Okay,
Warning.
here we go.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good, bad. I'm the guy with the mic.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Welcome back to another Padded Cell where we talk about absolutely nothing. Yay.
Yay. And to start, we're going to talk about absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And then eventually that'll become something. Now, I remember that Pyle had this awesome list of questions that we were going to do now and then, but you weren't able to make the last Padded Cell because of the whole power outage in your area, where the whole your whole village lost power. It's so weird saying village. Like, we know what that means, but it's just weird to say village.
Grab your torches! We shall go after the monster!
Basically, that's kind of where we're at.
I do have questions. Found
You still
that
have
are
them?
Similar. Well, I have multiple avenues of those type of questions.
Okay, I was going to say, if not, I can send you what I got.
Dude, I just typed in mind-blowing questions and see what comes up.
Mind-blowing? I don't know if we're ready for mind-blowing questions.
Well, one of them
But,
is like, why do men have nipples if they can't make milk themselves?
How do you know I
I've got
don't?
nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?
Yeah, it's for fun and profit.
I think that's probably where the welding stopped. And there's always that nub when you finish the welding, and they just never bothered to sand it down so that it has that nice sheen. That's why men have nipples.
That makes sense.
Fun
Some of the
fact.
shirts I wear.
Fun fact. I have a superfluous third nipple somewhere on my body. And tonight we're going to guess where.
Well, it's not your forehead, which is where I would want mine to be. But,
So I'm going to ask, is it on the left cheek or the right cheek?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Neither. But think higher.
In your back?
Nope.
I'm
You said
just
think high.
not really certain I want to know this information.
I do.
Okay.
we said higher, higher than that. So
Hold
we're
on.
probably okay. Wow.
The
So is it-
problem here is that if he tells us or if we guess it, then he has to provide proof. But we know what happened the last time somebody
Did nothing, actually.
did nothing and apparently showed skin. So
Yeah.
We have an anatomy book that came
Here we
in. Like
go.
we could figure this out together.
Oh, my God. I'm going to bust out an anatomy book. Holy shit.
It's right above his other nipple.
I mean, I like this anatomy book because it's got
It's
got
a rather bizarre
everything.
area.
Is it in your
Right
armpit?
behind the ear.
Close.
Your armpit? Close to your
Close.
armpit?
No. You're close with the armpit. Think higher.
Okay.
On your shoulder?
Yes.
Are you
Now-
serious? You got a nipple
Yeah.
on your shoulder?
Yes. Now guess which one.
Left.
Yes. Correct. It's right here. I rub
Does
it
it
for
give
luck.
you pleasure?
I mean, he
No.
grinned when he did it, so I'm gonna guess.
Oh, that's the spot.
Oh,
Like,
Goofy.
sound
Oh,
like Matt.
You sure it's not from a
That's just
conjoined
like
twin
Goofy right there.
whose head never developed?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you over Pyle there, Ron.
He's a pile of noise. I said, are you sure it's not a conjoined twin whose head never developed?
No, I'm pretty positive it's just a third nipple there.
Mm.
I've had it for as long as I could remember.
Nice. I mean, as far as placement goes, I do not believe that I've ever heard of that. So that's pretty magical, man.
Only my closest of friends and lovers have seen and touched it.
The things you learn.
Well, I don't plan on touching it, but if you ever want to peek and show,
Not on the show, just in case, because I'm sure for some reason that would be some sort of problem for someone.
nudity. That would be nudity
Probably.
right there, right?
There was a bare shoulder. Oh no!
You showed your nipple. It was on my shoulder. Come
Somebody
on.
from the Amish community complains that they're showing too much ankle.
But they wouldn't be on the internet.
That you know of.
I mean, they shouldn't be on the internet. I mean, that's kind of part of the whole.
I'm sure there's some sect out there that figures there's a loophole. They
There
still
is.
have the dial. They just use like net zero still somehow.
So how do you start a show where you talk about absolutely nothing? You talk about the superfluous third nipple. Thanks, James.
Exactly.
nipples.
It'll change next time.
I'm pretty sure I exist for a reason, and there it is.
It's like in what was it, Robin Hood Men in Tights? Like wasn't your mole on the other side? He goes, I have a mole.
Yeah.
Okay, another fun fact. I've never seen that movie.
Oh my god!
Oh,
I can
Oh.
That is saddening.
quote every lyric of every song. I quote that whole movie like from beginning to end.
You're
It's one of
fired.
those-
Hey,
It's,
Ron's going to send you your service package and
Severance.
or
he'll make
severance.
Severance, my service package.
Severance package.
The severance package basically means they're going to sever my head from my body.
Eh,
Oh, you know what? There was a movie, and I don't remember what the movie was, but all through this movie, this guy kept on saying, if I die, I want the head coffin. And what it was there was people that was coming back from life to make sure that this when it happened, they would cut off their heads, but they claim that if it did not have a head coffin, a separate box, it would reattach itself.
that's vampire lore.
Is that
We can talk about
Ghostmaker?
that on Legends by Night.
I don't remember what the movie it was. I just remember all through this thing. He's like, I'm going to die, but remember, I want the head casket.
X-Men Origins Wolverine. Deadpool.
No,
Okay.
no, it was a stupid comedy horror movie. Maybe that's what we need for Tomb of the Terrible.
Added to our
Return of the
giant
Living Dead
growing
Part
list.
2.
I love the Return. of the Living
Hey,
Dead
that
series,
was
man.
yeah. I like
Part
that movie.
2. Part
like
2.
that
though.
one.
Well, I mean, all of the Return of the Living Dead movies were
Even
kinda
4 and
cheesy.
5
All of
when
them.
sci-fi bought them out were still fun.
I actually enjoyed number 3, which not a lot of people seem to do.
Oh, Julia,
Yeah.
she forever haunts
But-
my dreams in the best way possible.
I don't
Yeah.
think I think I made it like halfway through part 3, but still, because I'm a child of the '80s, and Return of the Living Dead is the only movie I've ever snuck into.
Oh.
Hmm.
3 was odd because there was less comedy, but it was also a love story. So it
Right.
was very much different than the other two, like very different than the other two. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I love 3 quite a bit. I love them all.
I remember walking
What year is Return of the Living Dead? Was it like what 80, 88,
85.
something like that? 80,
Original,
85.
85?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say, though, back in 1994, I walked into the local Blockbuster and saw this giant stand-up of the cover of Return of the Living Dead Part 3. She's
Yeah.
standing there with a razor razor modifications, and I'm like, I must rent this now, and then I did.
Oh yeah,
It was
It-
great.
because Return of the Living Dead happened. It was originally going to be a sequel to Night of the Living Dead, but it's not what George Romero had written to continue the series, and it was a comedy instead of a take on a different aspect of society. And a large argument ensued behind the scenes between all kinds of the crew members, directors, producers, everyone, and the entire company split, and half of everybody went on with Romero, the other half Living Dead franchise. There's
Well,
a lot
they
more.
were different. There were different kind of zombies too, because in Romero, Night of the Living Dead, the zombies they didn't speak.
Well, those changes came after the split.
I'm making monkey noises. Ooh, ooh,
Yes,
ooh,
we
ooh.
go ahead, James.
But okay, so the legal department between the two said that Romero can keep the of the dead, and then the other guy could do the Living Dead. They had the rights to that. So the Return of the Living Dead was set in the same universe as Night of the Living Dead, but it was kind of branched off into its own tangent universe with the explanation of why there were zombies and stuff.
Yep.
And that's why they're different but the same, kind of. Now, if you excuse me, my bagel bites are just about done. You can have pizza anytime.
You're
Yeah, I was like,
talking like the sloth from Ice Age. Or what's his name?
The sloth, I guess. I don't know.
What was his name?
The pest.
Yeah, the John Leguizamo, the one that
Yeah.
John Leguizamo voice. Oh, I can't think of
Wow.
his name.
I know his name. Oh my god, we talk about it all the time. Sid.
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 Name's Sid. Sydney, but Sid.
Sid the
Dagnabbit.
sloth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pyle and I had a very interesting night last night. When we finally did, that's why we're not playing the haunt ad anymore, because there's no more haunt ads for a while. We did our thing over at Hell's Dungeon, the Bleeding Hearts event. We ended up not doing the dinner and murder mystery part because they didn't get enough pre-sales in order to pay the deposits for that. So we just did the haunt, and a lot more people showed up to the haunt portion of it than has ever shown up before. In terms of not just customers, but volunteers. We had 22 just volunteer cast members from a combination of 6 different haunts, and then just some extra people that were friends of friends who came in to help out. It was a wildly successful night for the haunt community at large, and just fucking overall. And the other cool thing is there were people that had won not only pairs of tickets to come to the event from watching our 24-hour stream, but there were people that actually won other prizes, like the targets that he was giving out. One person claimed the Monty. We gave away the Cryptids book, and me and Pyle got to actually sign some of this stuff for people and like talk to some of them quite a bit. And I know the ones that there was 4 people that came in together that had won tickets from us and stuff, and they talked to me for a while. And one of them, I don't know if you guys remember, her name was Hope. She was one of the 2. We got to talk to her for a little bit, but
she's the one that won the book.
Yep. And one of them is thinking about coming and actually volunteering at the haunt, but they really enjoyed the show, and they talked to us. A bunch of them talked to us about different stuff like that. So it was really cool to actually, for the first time ever, interact with people that I didn't know that had seen our show. It was a lot of fun.
That is awesomeness incarnate.
Yep. Nothing bad happened. Well, funny things happened that night. This poor girl, before we even opened, was so terrified by one of our clowns, our volunteer clowns, in the parking lot that she turned to run away and knocked herself unconscious on a pole. On a column.
On a what?
Like a big column that's out. The big columns that are out front of the haunt.
Oh.
Before you walk up the steps.
She became the me.
That was actually the handrail she hit her head on.
Oh, it was the handrail? Oh, someone told me it was the column. That's even funnier.
So what had happened was the one haunter, he actually knew her, and he was picking on her, and he said he was going to chase her around with a booger, and he acted like he was picking one, and he went ahead and got it right beside her face. She turned her head, and she hit the side of that rail.
Oh, okay. Then it was the
Yeah.
other girl that turned to run away. Okay, because there was a second girl too that turned to run away from the same clown, and ran herself into something and like scraped her like knee all up and shit.
Yeah,
Please tell me that. Please tell me that he said, "I got a boogie on my finger and I can't take it off."
Get off.
Got a boogie.
Got a boogie.
Wow.
Get that boogie out of my face.
Hey, you want a boogie?
No.
Yeah,
It's a
just
great
you guys
song.
at home that when you listen and interact with the show, you get to do all kinds of different cool things and win prizes and go weird places for no reason that people knock themselves unconscious at before the show even starts.
And you know what? I seen her friends come out, and I asked them, "Hey, do you have any update? How's she doing? This and that." They actually had her staying at the hospital longer to just get her checked out, and that was one of my fears. Usually, when you do something, you're like, "No, I don't need help." She was at the point that it should have done it, and I was really glad that she actually did go and get some attention.
Yeah, and it's hilarious because her friends went through the hunt anyway.
Well, she told them. She's like,
I know,
no,
it was just
none
funny.
of you.
It was just
She's
funny.
like, no, you guys are all going. We came here. We went to have fun, this and that. And then all of a sudden I came down the steps and the owner of the hunt, hey, some flashing lights up there. I said, yeah, it's a rescue squad. Hey, there's a rescue squad up there. Why is there a rescue squad here and no one told me?
Yep.
He goes, where's
I was
my
getting right
radio?
over there.
He's like, oh man, I don't even have my radio. And he goes, I was like,
we radioed it over. He left his radio in the security office with the other radio. He had a good night though. He's
a great guy.
He got super stoned and went to the hunt by himself, like as a group, and made everybody act for him. And dude, some of the volunteers, even not even just our normal cast members whose spots he knows of, but even some of the volunteers scared the shit out of him numerous times. Like there was one point in time where somebody got him so bad he had to stop and sit on one of the props and like catch his breath before he goes. It was epic. But yeah, I thought it was so cool to see so many people from so many different places like coming together under one banner and just, under the Reject banner. It wasn't under the Haunt banner; it was under the Reject banner. It was just really cool.
And that our haunters love coming down. Our haunters had a great time. Jaden was really upset. We found out that it was all a sinus headache that was playing him out of commission, and being in that room with the different lights was just playing headache.
Yeah.
And he was good today. He'll go and he'll go to school and he'll play his trombone tomorrow at a concert that I didn't even know existed until last night.
Oh, by the way, Dad.
Oh no, that wasn't how that happened. That was the mother calling.
Oh,
seeing how he was doing, and then finding out he wasn't doing good, and telling me he had a concert. And surprise! Just for clarity, someone needs to fix their website a little better.
Yeah. Schools have terrible websites, man.
I'm not going to point out what school.
No need.
If you see my face somewhere, you'll figure it out.
A lot of public schools just have really
the FBI's most wanted list.
Have
you seen this man?
Wow.
I got a phone call today, okay? And he's like, hey. I said, yeah. He goes, there's a child missing. I said, it's not locked up in my basement if that's what you're thinking. And it's like, no.
Rob's sub basement.
And just the comedy act with that. No, we just didn't know if any of your kids were talking to you about where this kid might be. Oh, okay, no. Then later on, there was 2 kids that came up missing and had no connections with me.
My tummy had the rumblies that only hands would satisfy.
What?
Okay.
Carl, that kills people if anybody wants to know.
Carl.
Oh,
Oh, what is wrong with you, Carl?
Llamas and
Well, I
hats.
kill people and I eat hands. That's two things.
and you said that. I was like, that sounds so familiar. I'm so confused. And then all of a sudden you said Carl, and I look over. I was like, chats. Nope, Carl is not in the chats. We have a haunter we call Carl.
Yep.
And that's the reason. So when you're like saying that, I was like, huh?
No,
Bob Carl.
llamas in hats.
Llamas and
Need to
hats,
get-
Pyle. Look it up. Llamas and hats.
Oh, yeah, I know, because this hunter came to me and said, my name's Bob. And I said, I got a feeling I'm not going to call you Bob. Hunter looks at me and goes, why not? And I said, you look more like a Carl. I said, go watch Llamas with Hats. Comes back, I am Carl, and I eat people. I was like, okay.
See, I used to work with this guy at Jimmy John's, who bit of a wanker. His name was Skyler, and his first day, he introduced himself. Hi, I'm Skyler, but you can call me Sky. And I went, that's not going to happen. As a matter of fact, your new name now is Sparkle Pony. So
Sparkle buds.
But why would you call me? Shut up, Sparkle Pony.
Sparkle fart.
Why wouldn't we call you Sparkle Pony is the actual question, not why
Right.
would you?
And that guy was like a creeper. He had this big crush on one of the managers, the general managers there. She came this close to filing a restraining order against him. But
Whoa.
yeah, I mean, yeah, not a lot of people like the guy simply because I didn't like him because he would work the system. They had this strict no overtime policy. So the way he worked it was he would work enough hours and a little bit of overtime, enough to get off early during the day, during a time when after lunch, when the between the lunch and the dinner rush, where the orders would suddenly spike again, and I was the only delivery driver there because, again, he went home because they didn't want to work him too much because of how he did it. And that just pissed me the hell off.
Sparkle Pony.
Sparkle Pony.
Wow.
He also drove a PT Cruiser, which I held against him, right then and there. I should have known.
Wow.
Wow.
There was another guy. Okay, fun story. There was another guy who was like a bit taller and was one of those extremely toxic individuals, let's just say, who felt the need to, always be insulting and tearing everybody down and making. I'm surprised a lot of the people that work there weren't brought up on sexual harassment charges. And this person in particular, he drove like one of those large modified pickups with the dual diesel exhaust sticking up right by the cabs, and
Oh, yeah.
kind of jacked up on the tires where one of those. So it's just everybody didn't like him, but everybody was afraid of him too, except for me. After a couple of weeks of putting up with his bullshit, I finally located a honk if you like gay porn sticker. And when I was going out on a delivery, I very discreetly stuck it on his bumper sticker, bumper in the back at a level he wouldn't have noticed until all the honking started.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
We had one of the pizza places I worked at. We had this guy, big heavy set guy. He was one of the drivers, and he was just pissed all the time. It didn't matter what was happening. The greatest thing in the world could be happening to him, and he'd still be angry. He was just that kind of guy. And I'm not a thin guy myself. I've always been a fat guy and proud of it. But this dude, I told him one day, I was like, dude, listen, I'm fat. You're fat. but we can't be fat and angry all the time. It just doesn't work that way. And he got really fucking pissed off and grabbed a pizza pan, and he was gonna bash my head in with it. He said it wasn't. That thing would have crumpled over my head. He just thought it would hurt me, and he just chases me through the back of this Pizza Hut, the whole kitchen area, and I'm just going fat angry man, and just running around the store, right? And eventually, an manager comes in, puts a stop to it, and then out of nowhere, manager comes in. He's like, the next day, he's like, "You calm down, any fam?" Just looking at the guy, and he's like, "Yeah, I just still think it's shitty." So then we started calling him fam. Well, one day he finally realized when I walked in and called him fam that fam stood for fat angry man, not family. And ensue another Benny Hill chase scene through the restaurant, but this time through the parking lot, across the street to the Kmart, then in the Kmart, through the Kmart, and I ditched him somewhere in the Kmart, and I just came back to the store and just smoked some out in the back
Wow.
lot. He quit that day.
Did they have yakety sax loaded and ready to play over the system when this happened?
I just wanted to.
It would have been awesome.
It's just one of those things.
There we go.
That's what it felt like. Yeah.
The Benny Hill thing.
Yep. Let me see Benny Hill. Weird things happen in pizza restaurants, man. Like any other fast food restaurant, sure, and retail stores, sure, but like pizza specifically. Pizza and subs, because Jimmy John's is much like this too. Like pizza and subs, like that kind of environment is just for some reason grossly different than every other workplace.
I don't know about you, but I used to work with somebody who there's always that person who, like, if I stop talking, like goblins will rise up and attack everybody.
Right.
Yeah, and there's this one kid who was like 19, and I remember being on the line with her. I didn't like her very much because she had this attitude of, "I'm going to beat you, Grandpa." And by the way, I was in my early to mid 30s when I was working there. Not like 50 right now, like I am now.
Right.
But finally, it was after the lunch rush. It was a bit slow. I was working the line with her. She was standing there and just talking about stuff. And I was trying my best to tune her out, and it was really hard. And then, and then a Led Zeppelin song came on the radio, and she started going off about how Led Zeppelin was the greatest rock band ever, and yada yada yada. And then finally, she ran out of things to talk about and just started making noises with her mouth, which made me just finally go, "Shut up! Shut up!"
I thought you were gonna be like, and then I just finally just shoved her into that fucking pizza oven and was done with it forever.
Yeah, yes, Jimmy John's famous
sub-oven.
pizza ovens. We didn't even toast stuff, so which
Really?
yeah. No,
One
it
here
was
does.
pretty simple. It kept things pretty simple, and I loved the way the customers would get angry and dejected when we told them, "Nope, we don't toast them." But because I hate the customers. But no,
God, would
I'm
be so much better if it weren't for all the customers.
But I was just shut up,
All right, Randall.
shut up. And I
I've
looked
got a
over and-
microwave I could put you in there.
and the general manager in the back who was slicing the meats for everything, he was doubled over in laughter. Just finally, I mean,
Well, was she doing it on purpose?
yeah, but I don't know. She just would never shut up. She was always talking about something, and then just making noises when she couldn't think of anything to talk about. I wish death upon this person. I don't wish death on many people. It's very, very, very
Some
rare
people can't
thing.
mentally handle silence, though.
Yeah. She also had this attitude of everybody wants to have sexual relations with me, and which made me gag like you wouldn't. It just excuse me.
And Ron, you mentioned Clerks because obviously I was making the Clerk reference.
Yeah.
That I gotta say that's probably the most fun jobs I've had for the most part. We're working at video stores, and I definitely had my share of rental days, dude, where I was just like, "You can't rent here anymore," and just cutting up their card and shit. They'd piss me off.
Well, I mean, I spent the majority of my life working retail before I came to my current job. So believe me, I know. I spent 3 years, a little over 3 years actually, working at a Kmart, and then another almost 3.5 years working at a Home Depot. And a good majority of that was working stock, working garden department, and I worked all kinds of shifts because when I was doing stock, we would work overnight, like 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. When I was doing garden recovery in the garden department at Home Depot, it was like 6 a.m. to like 2:30 in the afternoon. So, I mean, I worked all hours and had to deal with all different kinds of customers. So I can totally relate to the whole Randall thing with, this job would be great if it weren't for all the fucking customers.
Yeah.
So, I love the job that I have now because I don't really have to deal with that anymore. And believe it or not, James, I actually worked at a Pizza Hut for a while too. Back in 2006 when I was living in Arkansas, I worked at a Pizza Hut out there, and I got paid shit, but
Pizza pays shit. Yeah.
it was better than being a cart wrangler at Walmart. Those were my two options. I could either get carts from the parking lot at Walmart, or I could wash dishes at a Pizza Hut.
Did you ever send secret messages to people with their pizza ingredients? Because I used to do that. I used to get in trouble for that.
Oh, I washed the dishes. I didn't have anything to do with making the pizzas, but it was actually, believe it or not,
I did dishes and make table, but I would get banned to the dish tank for sending secret messages to people. Sometimes I put phone numbers of employees, just pepper, just different ingredients, whatever I had, I would just do. So I would write help me in the pepperoni, just just really shit like that.
No,
Nice.
I didn't really have any weird experiences with working at Pizza Hut because it was just, a general day-to-day job. But at the end of the night, we got to take home whatever was left from that day that we didn't sell because you could not use the dough after you had taken it out of the walk-in. So any dough that was left over, you can make your own pizza and then take it home.
Yep.
And that's how they would, base how many dough that they had to take out the next day. So I ended up with so much extra pizza in my fridge from that job, I couldn't even give it away to family or friends.
I know.
Here, I have this whole pizza that I'm not going to eat. Here, you can have it. They're like, no, I'm good.
With us, it was you also got to take home a 2-liter every night. We'd eat all day, we just fuck up a pizza so we could eat, all fucking day long. We'd always fuck up pizzas just so we could eat free pizzas. But we'd always get the pizza to take home, however many pizzas to take home based on the dough and the 2-liter. So we also had a giant mount. We called it 2-liter mountain, where we'd try and stack the 2 liters. We had this whole game about it, and then we started finding things to use the 2 liters for, and just dumping the 2 liters out to use empty things for, and the mountains of boxes.
Why'd you have to
and
go
cardboard.
and make me so constipated?
Yeah, exactly.
But there were 3 of us living together that all worked at this Pizza Hut, so it was even worse because we had,
I gained so much weight from working at that Pizza Hut job. It's ridiculous, and it's not the first time either. Because when I was in college, I used to bus tables and wash dishes at this seafood restaurant. And it was kind of the same deal. At the end of the day, you could take home whatever was left on the fry line that didn't get sold. So I ended up taking home all of these boxes of popcorn shrimp, because that was usually the thing that we sold the most, that we cooked the most, popcorn shrimp.
Yeah.
So I was living with this guy named Patrick at the time. And
SpongeBob.
Patrick would go to the refrigerator and he'd open it up and it's like nothing but white styrofoam boxes full of popcorn shrimp. He's like, Ron, we got to do something about this. I'm like, I get it. Okay. It's like all we
Right.
had to eat. It was ridiculous.
See, my favorite jobs were always the ones that like will pay you, but also will give you free food afterwards. Like I used to be a busboy for the local bar and grill at the village that is about 3 miles north of me, and it didn't pay much, but like on like catfish nights or prime rib nights, I'm bringing home a big slab of that stuff. It's great. But best job I ever had was Godfather's Pizza. I was a delivery guy, but they also had the go ahead and make a small pizza, take it home with you at night. The tips in that area were great, almost to the point where a couple of times, I forgot to cash the paycheck. Because I was making enough to make the rent.
Right.
And, I was always, I closed the store, stop by the Blockbuster, pick up a horror movie, go back, watch it, stay up till like 4 a.m, go to bed, and then wake up around noon, repeat the process.
Yep.
Enjoy a nice pizza. But unfortunately, some inner politics just came into play, and
sometimes.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the phrase binge and purge?
Yes.
And I'm not talking about the Metallica box set. One of the other jobs I worked was a cafeteria in our local mall, and it was kind of the hot spot where all of the senior citizens would go and have their Sunday brunch after church. So we were constantly busy on Sundays, and I worked there on and off for the better part of 5 years. And we had a holiday party one year, and my boss asked me if I was coming to the holiday party. I really had no intention or desire of going to the holiday party because, well, quite frankly, I didn't actually care much for the people that I worked with, but I was getting paid, and I also got tips too because I would bust the tables, so I got to keep whatever tips the people left as well. But then he said the magic words that I just could not resist.
Was it free alcohol?
All you can eat prime rib.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm talking, it was these huge slabs of prime rib, and he had 4 trays of these things.
Damn, dude.
And you go and you cut off whatever you want. They're not cutting it off and serving it for you. You go and you cut off however big a slice of prime rib that you want.
Jeez.
And I was like, oh, the gods have spoken. And I said, okay, I will go. And I did. And that is when I learned what binge and purge actually means. The binging was exceptionally fun because I had probably a good 4, maybe 5 of those steaks. I'm talking maybe about 4 pounds or more of prime rib.
Jesus.
And, the salad, all of the desserts, and whatever bread and the sides that they had, the mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, all the stuff, because it was a full spread, because we're a cafeteria. So, we had everything. And I ate a little bit of everything, but man, I was focused on that prime rib. And boy, oh boy, did I regret it later, because it was coming out of basically every orifice that
the sirens happened and the purge began.
It was just, I don't even know if there was a siren. It was just like, oh,
there was somewhere.
Here it comes.
No, we haven't gotten a chance to hear from Jenny or Pyle on job situations or weird circumstances like this. You guys got anything for us? Jenny?
Weirdest job stories?
Yeah.
Running down Walmart aisles trying to catch people who are trying to steal TVs were always fun. But I think the one that aggravated me most, we'd have to the floors would get mopped and waxed and on different aisles, and of course, randomly they'd have to do mine. And my least favorite argument with any customer is if you step on it, you could bite it, and it is not my fault because there's a sign, and I just told you twice.
Yep.
I get called some nasty words, and they did it anyway. And then they wondered why I wouldn't come help them when they fell on their behind. That was no fun.
I have a
Like,
question
I
though.
want to see your manager.
You said
He's
running
on
down
the other end laughing at you. You see that guy? Yeah, that's him.
How fast did these people run with the TVs? Because you said running down the aisles, chasing people, trying to steal TVs. And
They'd
just
put them in buggies and then they'd sprint.
oh, okay. Just for the exit.
Yeah,
That's wow.
Does that work?
nearly all but like 5.
Asking for a friend.
Say what?
I said, does that work? Asking for a friend.
Well, all but 5 of the times, one of us in the back caught them, and then all but one of the times somebody up front caught them. So it worked maybe once while I was working there. But
So the risk versus reward is not that good.
I never could understand why cheese sticks were more important than a person's safety, but hey, why not? And I think one of the most hilarious things, I have never worked at a pizza place, but there's one I've been frequenting for about 35 years, Little Caesars. And when you go there as many times as I did when I was younger, and somebody there knows you, and they're like, okay, she's fine. And then they just continue the weird conversations they were having when I walk in. And I'm just sitting there, the only person in the lobby, waiting for my pizza. And they're like, but there's a customer there. Oh, she doesn't care. She just wants the pizza. She doesn't want to cook for the kids tonight. And they're like, oh, okay. That was always one of the most fun parts, listening to the different conversations, the complaints about each other and the different customers.
That's fucking epic. What do you got for us, Pyle?
I hesitate to get Pyle started because I know he got some stories. And
got that grit on his
this
face
take the rest
already.
of the episode.
Okay. So I'm going to be honest. I told Friday, I said, I don't know if I ever want to talk about this job just because I got 8 years of total terrible stories about this job. And I was there for 8 years. Yep. I was your friendly, not so friendly product technician at Aaron Sales and Lease. And I had the people that would get the stuff and they would get on the special, ring the bell, pay $1, get all this stuff, and we would deliver it the next couple of days. And 15 days later, I was returning it. I always hated it. I hated it. I could look at the customers. I knew exactly which ones were going to be good and which ones were going to be terrible. In 8 years, I went through 9 managers.
Jeez.
Like 9 store managers. I never got promoted from PT to anything. All the customers loved me. I was the PT that they would send different stores, and there was this one guy that I could not stand, and to this day I'm glad I don't see him. And you set up a bedroom set, and it shouldn't be that hard. There's a thing called instructions. If you don't know what you're doing, just look at the instructions. Be a man and man up and understand. You need to look at this to figure out how in the heck that little tray comes out of the bottom of the bed. It's not that hard to look at the instructions, understand it one time, and then the rest of the time, you're great. Well, he would not let me see the instructions. He told me, I've got this. I could handle this. I do not put people down when they work with me because that makes a really terrible situation. It really does. But one night we got to this guy's house and he was like towards the end of our stuff. Okay. So we arrived there at 5 o'clock. Okay. That gave us 2 hours for us to set it up and get back and clock out. Okay. 2 hours. Because we closed at 7. We should be done and we should have everything done by 7. 8 o'clock rolls around and my sales manager calls me and goes, "What's going on?" I said, "He will not let me look at the instructions. He will not let me work on this and that. He's got this totally handled." I said, me and the customer, he offered me a beer. And I said, "No, I'm good." But I'm sitting back and drinking a pop, watching the other guy do absolutely nothing because he can't figure it out. And he goes, "You are not." I said, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "And that's supposed to be my future nephew-in-law." I said, "Boy, your niece, she got a good one." He ran over to that house, apologized to the customer, apologized to this, and he shut the door. And I just thought to myself, oh, this is going to be terrible. Because he just shut the door. And I hear, "Ow!" from the other side of the door. So did the customer. And he just looked at me and said, "You think your friend's doing okay?" I said, "Yeah, I think he's doing perfectly fine on the other guy." And he goes, "All right." So they opened the door, and here comes a piece of paper. And he goes, "This is the instructions. Can you make it happen?" Like that, I can. I looked at it. I said, oh, well, there's where the mistake was. Tore it completely apart, reassembled it, got done. And it took me about 20 minutes for me to correct all the mistakes he had. I walked out, looked at the customer, said, "Hey, sorry it took so long. I apologize. Thank you very much. You have yourself a great day." And he looked at me and said, "Hey, come over anytime." And the other guy looked at me and goes, "Well, at least the customer's happy." Customer looks at him and goes, "Not with you. You don't come to my door. You don't ever come back. I don't want to see you ever. If I see you in the store, I will walk out." He goes, "I don't want to ever see you again." Looks at the GM or the sales manager and goes, That man right there needs to get fired. Don't care what kind of relationship you got. That needs to get fired. That needs to get taken out to a field and tied up to a stick and let the combine come." And I was like, "Yep."
Or like that scene in Office Space with the fax machine.
Oh, dude, I would have chucked him out the window. And in fact, I will let you know, it takes a very long time for someone to tweak me to the point that I just, yeah. And I finally got at the point where I told them, "You know what? I'm giving it 2 weeks notice. I'm walking out that door. You're not going to see me. And this is the reason why. This guy right here can't do it, can't handle it. He is going to not only hurt himself, he's going to hurt your employees, or worse, a customer." And they brought in the HR. The HR is like, "Well, we want to talk about this and that." And I said, "Jenny, let me be honest with you. No, no." And she goes, "Well, I know you have some bad feelings." I said, "Bad feelings?" I said, "I want to take his head, cut it off, stick it on a stick outside as a warning to the other ones. Don't do this." And she looked at me and she goes, "Okay." I said, "So if I'm not quitting, you're going to fire me for that statement." And she goes, "How you feel about moving to another store?" I got moved to a different store. He lived 20 minutes away from the store I was working at. I lived 20 minutes from the store I was going to. The store I was going to was where he lived. and I lived in the store where he was. So one day after something happened to him, and he said he was going to go home and he was going to change, he went home, he changed, he came back, and it took him 2 hours. And the head manager above the entire region said, "What happened there?" He goes, "Well, I had to go home, and I live 20 minutes away." And as soon as he said the town, he goes, "Why is he at this store, and why is Pyle traveling 20 minutes to the other store?" He goes, "I want them swapped now." And I got swapped back to my store until they shut my store down. And he finally got released from his job for writing his name in furniture with a steamer.
He's not too bright, huh?
Dude, I've seen some light bulbs that people have spray painted, and they're a hell of a lot brighter than that boy ever was.
Yeah, I've heard of some people trying to be clever on the job and not quite getting away with it. My first job out of college, I worked computer tech support for a company, and I'm talking to one of the IT guys, because even tech support people need IT, right?
Right.
And he's like, we had to let, because there are certain things that you can do on company time and certain things that you can't. They are very heavily restricted in some things. And one of those things would be, watching, shall we say, videos of adult persuasion on your work desktop. That's a big no-no. And this guy got fired for doing that. But nobody knew that he was doing it for several months because he thought he was being clever by using a program to close off traffic going out of his desktop until someone in IT monitoring the network saw that there was no traffic coming from his desktop. And they went, that's weird. So they went physically to his computer to run a log of what he had been doing and why there was no traffic coming from his computer. And that's when they found out that he was doing naughty things that he should not have been doing with his work desktop. And so no matter how smart
are you
think
showing
you are,
up at work with no pants?
no matter how smart you think you are,
We're supposed to have pants on here?
There's no pants.
Wait, did
There's
I stand
no
up
pants.
or something? How did you know?
That's why we got hit on Facebook the other day.
Oh,
We figured out our secret. So I want to make sure we get to some of these questions because we've been talking about jobs for like an hour almost, which is great. Right. We hardly ever get to talk about this. I'm sure we'll talk about fucked up exit jobs a lot in the future because it's a fun conversation. But
if you ever want to know, I got 8 years of questionable decisions and some
there we go.
things. But
like I said, don't get Pyle started.
Oh, I have so many stories from Radio Shack.
Oh, man.
Oh.
But yes, the questions.
The questions. Okay. Hit us.
Okay. What is consciousness?
The definition, or
That's just one of the questions on the list. As for the job you were talking about you were working at, I just want to add one more thing. The funniest thing is we moved from the Huntsville store to the one in Newton.
Okay.
And about 8 months later, the manager from the Huntsville store moved to our store, and I'd called to make a payment on our stuff because I really like the idea of keeping my fridge and such.
Mhm.
And the manager changed. They changed me over to the manager, and like, "Hi, this is Jennifer Elliott. I need to pay on Josh's account." And then she started talking, looking up at the counts, and she got him mixed up with his brother. And that's how I knew we had a good manager, because she mixed me up with my sister-in-law, but she made sure everybody's accounts stayed paid up to date because he would pay his too around about the same time. So it made sense that she wouldn't mix us up. But either way, back to the question.
Wow.
I believe I have the answer
Go for it.
from dictionary.com.
What is consciousness?
Noun, the state of being awake and aware of one's surroundings. In a sentence, she failed to regain consciousness and died 2 days later.
Wow.
That's kind of dark. The awareness or perception of something by a person, the fact of awareness by the mind of itself and the world.
You know, speaking of unconsciousness, there is a story right now that's developing where this lady goes to the police or calls 911 because her boyfriend or fiance at the time isn't breathing. And come to find out, he's not breathing because they got really fucking drunk the night before and decided to play drunken hide and seek. Partway through drunken hide and seek, they thought it would be hilarious for some reason for him to hide in the suitcase, and she zipped it up. And he wasn't that small of a guy, but he was small enough to fit in this like giant suitcase. So she zips him up in there, but he gets to the point where he can't breathe that well. You know, they laugh about it. You know, he's laughing from inside the suitcase, and she's drunk and somehow ends up going upstairs to use the bathroom real quick, and then just ends up passing out in the bed. Waking up the next morning, looking into the bed next to her and realizing the bed is empty, she runs downstairs, realizes he's still in the suitcase. He was in there all night, unzips it, and he's not breathing. So she's, talking to emergency. She's trying to do CPR. They get there. He dies from being. I mean, he's got breathing space. They've got it unzipped enough for him to breathe the whole night and everything. But he died because it turned out his lungs would never quite inflate enough because of the compression for him to truly breathe. So he ends up dying. The cops get there. They take her statement and they're like, "Well, can we see your phone?" She's like, "Of course." Not thinking about it, she hands her the phone. Apparently, she was so drunk that she didn't remember taking a bunch of videos while it was going on and him begging to get out before she went upstairs and her telling him that, "Oh, you can't breathe. You don't know what to do. That's exactly how I felt when you cheated on me." And then she went upstairs and took a nap.
Wow.
So now she's being charged for second-degree murder because of drunken suitcase hide and seek. It's not funny that someone died. To be clear, it's funny the whole fucking scenario is what I found out today.
Dumb ways to die.
I cheated on my
Sounds
girlfriend.
like something that would have been on that show, like 1,000 Ways to Die.
Yeah.
That's Darwin Awards come calling, I guess. I don't know.
Yep. Died in
All right, next question.
Well, I wanted to add one thing to that before we move to the next question.
Go for
it. You guys know my obsession with Highland. The moon is a harsh mistress. And Mike is a computer that has gained consciousness. And he can think and talk and basically act like a human without being human. The next question is, if you could have a friend that was a computer that was just had the same type of dark humor you would that be fun?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, man.
I'm going to say no because I've read I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. I see how this ends.
That was good. That was a good one. I would definitely like to hang out with a computerized version of myself that had the same terrible sense of humor. I'm sure the world would not be better for it in any way, shape, or form, but
I'm a fan of the series reboot, so if I could hang out with Guardian Bob or Enzo Matrix, adult Enzo Matrix. The little one's kind of annoying, but Enzo Matrix around the 3rd or 4th season when they actually escape from mainframe and go into the web and start playing, all the games there. I think I could probably handle hanging out with Guardian Bob and Enzo and all that. I liked Mouse. Mouse was really cool.
I think for me it would probably be fucking Kroll from Mystery Science Theater. That's who it was that I'd probably be hanging out with.
Would you like to play a game?
What about you, Bob?
Can I pick the robot, or does it have to be me?
I mean, no, the robot really isn't you. I would just
Okay.
same.
If I was going to do
like a
anything,
demon.
I think I would do iRobot, and I would hang out with him because he did not have to obey by the 3 laws of robotics, but he did. In a sense, he did. I mean, he did kill the owner or the creator, but you
True.
know,
That was circumstantial.
Yeah.
That was a good movie. I need to go back and watch that.
Well, okay. So just to reiterate, yes, I don't really trust AI that much, especially if it ever gains sentience. However, when I was a young boy, about 6 or so, I kind of wanted to have those floaty robot things from the movie The Black Hole as a pet,
Oh yeah, yeah, that'd be fucking awesome.
like Vincent.
Yeah, they're useful, man.
So
I think I'd probably still choose Gay Deceiver. But okay. Where did all the dimensions come from?
Other dimensions.
Yeah, like it
That's where they came from. They
refers-
came from other dimensions.
Yeah.
well, you see, there was a galaxy creator, and he farted, and he made a rip.
He ate Taco Bell.
Microscopic shit particles hanging in the air, and they're all separate dimensions.
When you say that there's a rip,
There
that's what
was
they
a rip.
meant, but they didn't want to admit it. That's why
It's a
some
rip
of those
in space.
universes kind of stink.
my theory is Sears. They're, but back when when they started doing the catalog thing,
Yeah.
back in the 1800s, and
Feels like it was the 1800s when they started that.
the last one God created the universe. I believe
Created the catalog, the first catalog. It was the planetary catalog.
in the beginning, God created everything. That has been regarded as a bad move. And okay,
All right, hitchhiker.
yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that if you looked in the original catalog of Sears, you could have been able to buy a house.
Yes.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
build your own.
Okay, so
Prefab
I
house.
mean, you're asking the question of where did all of the dimensions come from, but there's not a lot of context on that.
Hey, who
So are
wrote
we
these
taking it
questions?
specifically from like a scientific aspect, or are we taking it from a theoretical aspect, or what? Because
No.
Theoretical, because all of these are dude, there's a question about who created God on here. So it's
Mankind
a
made
whole
clear
bunch
that
of-
one.
you're
Okay.
mankind
So
created God.
I do have a question for the question, and that would be when they say where did all the dimensions come from? We're talking like 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension, which is where we dwell, possibly a tesseract kind of situation,
Tesseract
or
kind
are
of
we
situation, 6
are
to the
are
6th
we
power to the 6th power of
okay?
dimensions.
But other than that, or are they mistaking dimensions for alternate universes? Maybe.
Yeah, it's
They
kind of what
may-
I'm wondering. When you
be
talk
mistaken.
about dimensions, like 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension, you're basically talking about length
Sold.
and depth, and they say the 4th dimension, which supposedly would be time, because length, width, and depth moving through time would create its own dimension, such as we are. From a scientific standpoint, I don't think that we've actually discovered that there are alternate dimensions in the sense
Not
of
officially.
like tesseract events or being able to cross
Right.
over into alternate realities and things like that. But macrocosmically and microcosmically, we can prove that there are things smaller than us which play by their own rules, getting into quantum physics. If
Yeah.
you were to expand your view outward so that you see things macrocosmically. Everything that you see now would look microcosmic, would be on a microcosmic level.
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Something like that. So, in my personal opinion, if you look at the planets and their orbits, this essentially just mirrors what we see microcosmically with atoms and their protons, neutrons, and electrons that make up the same kind of orbit structure.
Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Wizard.
I agree wholeheartedly. Like the vessels in the lungs look like tree branches.
Yep.
I
Mhm.
agree
Who
with
was
the whole
that?
entire
Who was-
idea.
Who was that science guy who could describe the Tesseract?
Nye.
for-
Bill Nye the
Not
Science
Bill
Guy.
Nye, but Tyson, maybe
Neil
Oh.
deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Nebraska.
Regress.
Okay. Did they the poser of the questions? Did they mistake this for his Q&A type? Maybe they got crossed over and we're answering
Um,
his questions.
Hmm. I
I
don't know. I
don't
was
know.
just giving
I
my
just
thought
looked
on
up mind-boggling questions, and this is
Oh,
where
okay.
we got what we got. And
I-
this
I
is
don't
only
know.
one of the pages.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe
I
we're
should have
too
answered the question. I'm from
mind-boggling.
a village.
I too was struck in the knee by an arrow.
I
was
figured
struck
I'd
by
change
an
that
atom
for
in the
Raz.
Large Hadron Collider. I was very concerned.
What's your next one?
Yeah.
Come on, man. That was a good joke.
It was. It
Okay,
was.
switching to another list.
Which came first, the chicken
If you're
or the
trying to
egg?
fail and you succeed, do you
Oh,
fail
oh,
or
oh.
succeed?
The chicken came first because the egg. Anyway, what was the question?
Yeah, can you ask that again, Jenny?
Sorry.
Well, that was the question above it. Which
If you're trying to
which
fail
came
and you
first, the chicken or
succeed,
the egg?
have you
But the
failed
one
or
I
have you
chose is
succeeded?
Which
yeah.
one did you choose?
You
That
can
question.
slap them when they talk over you,
Did
Jenny.
I-
Just start slapping them.
Well, I do have the ability to mute anybody and everybody. I just try not to.
Use it. Use it.
Do it! Do it! I dare ya!
You have permission.
I want to see you do it.
You
I don't
dare
know.
me?
Can you?
Can I, Pyle?
Considering I did it.
Well,
Does that make us all mutants?
I would like
I
to
seen
think I am.
seen you did it.
Oh, just
Right.
because you decide to do it when I did doesn't mean that I can't do it after you undo it.
All right, go ahead,
Because
Jenny.
there's also okay. Does anybody have an answer to the first question? If
Game
you're
first,
trying to
chicken
fail
or
and
the
you
egg?
succeed,
Oh.
Guys,
So I do. And this is actually Thomas Edison. A reporter asked Thomas Edison, now that you create the light bulb, what do you think about all the failed attempts at creating a light bulb? His comment was, I never failed at making a light bulb. I succeeded at not making a light bulb.
That is true.
You succeeded at figuring out that's not the way it's done.
It's a matter of perspective.
Exactly.
exactly. Where do thoughts
As I
go
like
when
to
they're
say, I
forgotten?
failed in spectacular fashion.
You're not flying, you're following with style.
Well, isn't that what flying is? It's forgetting to land.
forgetting how to fall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
forgetting how to fall.
You just gotta miss the ground there.
Mhm.
So what's the next question?
Where do thoughts go when they're forgotten?
Where do thoughts go when they're forgotten?
I
don't
would
know.
like to
Other
think
dimensions
Erie,
from the
Indiana,
previous
and those barrels.
I feel like I knew this once, but then I forgot.
They went to those other dimensions from the previous question.
Exactly. Or the barrels in Indiana, Erie, Indiana.
I love
Does
that show
anybody
so
know
much.
about? Oh God, thank you.
I think you're on a slight lag.
Yes.
Okay, it's not a slight lag. If it
So,
took you that long to hear me and say
Which
yes,
system
it's a
for
very
chicken
big
or the
lag.
I do have
Well,
an
I
answer.
can reset.
I'm so
You might want
lost.
to, yeah, because your lag is like, it's not just like a second or two, it's like a couple seconds. I think that's where part of our problem is. All right. Well, while Jenny is resetting her internet, because internet sucks sometimes.
I do
Some of
have
these
an
questions,
answer for
man,
her.
I feel like these questions were designed by the computer deep thought.
Yeah,
Oof.
but
Then in that case, the answer is 42.
Exactly.
so
Everyone knows.
so my answer for that
Always take
question,
time.
because the question was, and correct me if I'm wrong, where do thoughts go
And they're forgotten.
when you're not thinking about them, right?
When they're forgotten.
When they're forgotten.
Once again, Sears.
Dad-
Everything goes to Sears. That's where all the left socks go from the dryer.
Dad was a bartender, and Dad had some jokes, and I loved them. And for this answer, this is coming back from when Dad and Mom were bartenders. Dad's answer would be the toilet. Because sometimes you just gotta forget her.
Now, the scientific answer to this is, according to science, we cannot destroy a thing or even thought. It just changes its form from one to another. So the information stored in our brain is still stored in our brain. Although we consider it forgotten, it's actually just stored in a different form that's harder for us to perceive. That's weird and random.
I think I talked about that once before when I went on my rant.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a part of your rant, yeah. That was still a good rant, man. I gotta say, it was a lot of hard work, and I was exhausted. But that 24-hour insanity was actually a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, hopefully next year we can get that planned out, and I can clear my schedule for those 2 days.
Oh yeah,
and do a lockdown.
Hey,
Maybe
I
put a
made it.
microwave down here.
I made it 17 of the 24 hours. I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
I didn't even pay attention to the time. I just was in and out when I could. And now I'm like looking at this one villager behind me, and I feel like he needs a headphone set.
Let's do a test. Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Oh, that was pretty immediate too. I think your lag is fixed.
Groovy.
Yay.
Is it
Did we bring
better
up
one
Tom
or
Dogs?
two?
Yeah. I literally
you
I
did.
just put it back down right as you were coming up. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Cool. Great. Then, hi Tom. Anyway, yeah.
Hi,
Much better.
Tom, who won
Yay.
the game?
We were talking about the 24-hour stream and how much fun it was. It was crazy, but it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. I enjoyed all of you people.
Yeah. We have that the Lover's Leap thing we are doing. We will be getting those links up here very soon, so you can check that out and get chances to win more prizes. Yeah, we're excited about that getting brought up here soon. I think we're gonna pop it up sometime around Valentine's Day, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Lover's Leap.
It's it's just a big contest we're doing that promotes a lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of things, all of our shows, a lot of dorkening shows, and you'll get a chance to interact with a lot of things, to get different entries into the contest, and then on Leap Day, we'll do a show that, or around Leap Day, we'll do a show where we reveal the winners.
Nice. Leap Day is a very special day for you.
It is. It was the day I got married 4 years ago, so it'll be my first year anniversary, I guess, technically.
Can I offer myself up as a prize for the lovers?
Sure.
So you can actually say we've been married for only 1 year, but it seems longer.
Yeah, it seems like 4.
So I have a question for everybody on here, real quick. Has anyone ever had a can of pop or whatever, and they're trying to do something and they're not paying attention? Next thing you know, you drop it, and the can gets a hole in it, and it just sprays you, sprays inside the semi, sprays down the semi, sprays everywhere. Anybody had that problem?
I've
Friday,
done that. It did not make my dad happy.
Friday, take note. These are the level of questions where we can actually answer. So if there's anything comparable, awesome.
You want questions you can answer?
Yeah, we need questions not written by the deep thought computer.
Yeah,
Okay.
delving into Socrates and
Socrates.
the 19th century French existentialists, just
That's more of a question for
This girl with
for
psychic
for Ask
powers.
Dr.
She said,
Raz,
"People,
so I can
what's
make up
your
random
sign?"
answers.
I blinked and answered neon. I thought I'd blow her mind.
Here's a question. What is your favorite sleeping position of all time?
missionary.
Top of her.
I said
wait,
sleeping, not something else.
Not sleeping with someone. I'm a side sleeper,
Oh,
man.
okay. Yeah,
Raz, you don't
I'm
sleep.
When I sleep, it's on my side.
So when I was younger,
In the chair.
like a teenager, I used to sleep on my stomach. But now, because my stomach is bigger, I sleep on my side.
If I try to lay on my stomach, I feel like I'm Superman because I'm just like.
Ooh, this is a fun question. What's the dumbest way you've hurt yourself?
Oh God. I don't even want to
This-
answer that because there's too many.
I was in a bright orange jumpsuit with my hands handcuffed behind my back, dressed up as Charles Manson, and my friend hit me with her car in the downtown, in the Oregon District, the party area of downtown, for a TV show we were doing. And she was supposed to go at a certain miles per hour, and instead thought, "Oh, I can go 40." And then right as she was like barreling down towards me, she like jumped down to 30 out of nowhere. And I completely misjudged everything. And I mean, I knew how to take car hits, but she was supposed to be going like 20, 25 miles an hour for this. We were going to speed it up in post, but I didn't absolutely destroy myself. And nope, I came down, or I hit the car, flipped up over it, hit the windshield, popped up in the air, and then she slammed the brakes. So instead of being able to hit the pavement and roll, I came back down on her windshield and cracked it, and then rolled off and hit the ground. That was pretty painful.
Nice.
So, the show is actually called Dayton Dumbass.
Well,
And she was dating a dumbass, that's for sure. Okay.
Well, we weren't dating. my friend.
dating, not dating.
Dayton was in Dayton, Ohio.
I know.
I have a date in Dayton. We ate a bunch of dates.
Yeah. I have 3. Well,
one second.
technically, I have more than 3, but I'm going to give you 3 in real quick order. The first one, my family and I were on vacation at Myrtle Beach one year. I don't remember how old I was, but I think I was in my teens. And I went down the slide in the hotel pool head first and cracked my head on the bottom of the pool and gave myself whiplash to where I could not move my head past this point. It ruined my vacation because I was stuck in the hotel room while everybody else was out going and doing things like this, looking up at the ceiling because I couldn't move my neck. So
Did
that
you
was
not
first
get
one.
sympathy?
So question, were you sitting in the lobby one time and you were like that and somebody came up and just What are you looking at? Then they would stare at the ceiling too.
1,347, man. That's
We
how
used to
many
do that in
holes are in
school.
that tile. The second one, very similar injury. I wonder I haven't broken my neck at this point. I wanted to ride. We lived at the top of a mountain, and we had a paved driveway that went down the mountain. And I wanted to ride my bike down to the local store. And but my bike had a flat tire. So I rode my dad's bike, and it was a 10-speed. But I didn't know until I started down our driveway is that his bike had no brakes.
Shit.
And at the bottom of the driveway, there's nothing. It's a left turn and a ditch and a bank on the other side. So my stupid ass went over the handlebars head first into the ditch and jacked my neck. I mean, it's a wonder that I lived as long as I have.
It's surprising you have not had an eternal decapitation.
The fact that I can still move my neck is saying something, because I'm pretty stupid, you know. And the third one, and the last
Stupid
one I'll
is as
leave you
stupid
with,
does. You get both.
in my early 20s, I used to be heavily into rollerblading, inline skating, and I did all the tricks and the jumps and the spins and the twirls, you know, and all that kind of shit. And I used to love rollerblading, man. I loved my skates. And down by my parents' business at the time, there was this barbecue restaurant. It was called Shadrack's. And Shadrack's had a multi-level parking lot where you have parking in front of the restaurant itself, but then there's an incline and there's another level of parking area up there, and then the road goes up the mountain, and there's a higher road that passes above the restaurant. So I'm at the top on the higher road looking down at the upper parking and down at the restaurant, and I'm going, I think I can make that.
Spoiler alert, he didn't.
Spoiler alert, I didn't. So I'm thinking this is probably a really bad idea, but no guts, no glory. Yeah. And so I started down this mountain, and there's a slight curve. I took the curve okay, and I'm thinking, you know, all I have to do is basically turn, go into the upper level parking lot, and it will give me enough room to slow down and stop. Sounded good in theory.
Not in practice.
Not in practice. Because by the time I hit the turnoff to go into the upper level parking lot, I have gained so much speed that my body went to the parking lot, my skates went down the rest of the mountain. So I just went, wah! And just slid on my side the rest of the way down the hill.
Oh, no.
And I had road rash covering my entire body. I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt and no pads.
Okay.
That sounds painful.
So the pain did not set in right away because of the adrenaline.
Adrenaline and then shock.
Well, that was stupid. But fortunately, right next door to Shadrack's, there was this restaurant. It was called The Peddler. It was a steakhouse, and it was owned by this guy named Murray Broom. And Murray happened to be in my karate class, so we knew each other pretty well. I thought, I'm gonna go over to The Peddler, see if Murray's there, see if he can help me out with like some medical attention. And I skate over there, and that's about the time that the pain starts setting in. And I go and I knock on the kitchen door at Peddler. And one of the guys comes out and he looks at me. I was like, is Murray around? And he starts laughing. He's like, hang on a second. And Murray comes out and just starts laughing his ass off. He's like, come on in. He's like, I'll have one of my guys take you home. So I get home, but I lived on the second floor, and I had to walk my ass up the steps. And it hurt so fucking bad. And I was dating this girl named Linda at the time, and she looks at me and she's pissed. I think I ruined her plans or something for the night or whatever, because now she's got to take care of my dumb ass. And I had to go. I had gravel like all up, like my cuts and everything.
Oh yeah.
And I had to go take a bath, like get all this shit off, and it was like it stung so bad.
Jeez.
It has to be
Wow.
one of the dumbest things I've ever done. Anyway, yeah.
How'd you almost
So-
kill yourself, James?
I'm sorry.
Said how did you almost kill yourself?
Kill myself or hurt myself really bad? Well, there were two. The first one, I sneezed really hard and then threw my back out because of it.
I've done that. Oh my god, it hurts so
God.
much.
I hate it when
That
that
is
happens.
embarrassing. How'd you hurt your back? I sneezed.
Yeah. One time I just had to tell the doctor, I don't know, I slept and I woke up this way, man. Your guess is as good as mine.
Right.
Been there,
Or
done
when
that.
I fell asleep
sneeze
old.
and you throw your back out and fart at the same time, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Wow. I remember doing that once and you seeing through the veil of time and space. It stared back at me. Oh,
Right? You stared into the abyss, and the abyss was laughing its ass off.
I got
But-
something for you, buddy.
But the second time, you were all kind of there too, because I was trying to hook up my hardwire to the router and lean on the table that wasn't screwed down. And next thing you know, everything on that computer desk was lying on top of me after I crashed, and my walker is still slightly bent because of it. And as a result,
Suck.
the first part of the very first padded cell that we ever did, I did in the ER of the Fremont Hospital,
Yep.
waiting for them to come treat me for my boo-boo.
Because when it happened, we were on the whatchamacallit, the pre-show, like hanging out like we always do before the show. When it happened. No, like we were worried as fuck for you, but it was the whole event was just it was hilarious. Like just the situation.
I believe it's still on YouTube, right?
Probably.
So, yeah.
Legit, he started the episode from the ER.
Well, shit, man. If you're gonna do a padded cell, I mean, what better way to start it?
Oh yeah,
With some
Jenny.
epic craziness.
you're next.
You know, they say break a leg. They didn't mean it like that, though.
He broke the whole damn table.
Jenny,
Two
you got
come to
one?
mind. I got two. The truck decided to stop. The brakes decided to stop. I decided to try to get it to turn off on the dirt road because we're coming up on our dirt road. I got it turned off. I got it slowed down because I went into the grass. It's just I did not want to like bang into the steering wheel, but I didn't think I had a choice. And then the door decides to fly open, and I fell out of the truck and broke my ankle. And the second one was when I was a kid on Hot Water Road. There's like this hill that's fun to ride down, and it was my turn to push the little ones on the you remember those red cars where you pedaled and then you had the steering on the sides?
Yeah.
We had one of those, and we started at just before the curb. That way we had a little bit of running, and I got it. I pushed them to the hill and they went down, and I could not stop me. And I did a handstand sliding down the hill, and I had gravel and all types of stuff in my hands. After that, I went down the hill on my hand.
Okay.
Yeah, I can relate. I know how that feels.
Yeah, that's why the
So do I.
the thought came to mind. Your story. So yeah.
Oh man.
I hated that truck though. I despised that truck. It hurt.
Yeah, I feel like I'm blessed, you know. That I'm still
Oh, yeah.
here, still alive.
Me too.
Okay, so this particular one, I didn't get hurt or anything, but it's still hilarious because like 20 years ago, I was living in Omaha with a couple of my friends. We were renting out an apartment. And one night we decided to check out a movie, a horror movie that just came out. And so we piled into my friend's car. I was in the back seat. Now, this was a Bonneville with the faux leather seats that they had. And I was wearing a pair of slacks themselves. And I wasn't wearing any seatbelt in the back seat because this was the back seat. And, you know, if I die, I die. But yeah, he had to turn right, and he hit took the turn pretty sharply, and I slid from the right side of the back seat over to the left side of the back seat, and I was going, ah! And they had to pull over because they were laughing so hard because all they saw in the rearview mirror was like just me, just my face going and hearing thunk from the back. So I don't blame them for that because I would have done the same thing. So
Okay, for some people, high school was better than adulthood, and for other people, adulthood is so much better than high school. Which one are you?
It's all the same to me, really. I mean, it's the same kind of stupid situations, the same kind of fucking absolute ridiculous bullshit you have to deal with once in a while. You have your friends that you hang out with to get through life with, like like we do here, or I have at the haunt. It's all just the same existence. I don't really think most people mentally grow from high school. I think some of us definitely do, but because most people don't, we still will just ultimately are doomed to feel like we are stuck in high school forever.
you
Yeah,
can tell
I-
there are types.
I can't relate to that, Raz, because while high school wasn't necessarily bad for me, it is not something that I would want to relive. I had a very social stigma about my eyesight when I was in high school, and it kept me from being able to do a lot of things that other kids my age were doing, like driving and going out on dates, asking the girl out that you wanted to ask out and say, "Hey, I'll pick you up at 7 o'clock." These are not things that I was capable of doing. So I missed out on a lot of social interaction. And like I said, we lived at the top of a mountain. So it's not exactly like I could sneak out in the middle of the night and go meet up with my friends and do things because there was nowhere to go. And how the hell would I get there if I could?
I think I meant more like the social aspect and high school mentality that the average person had in high school. That's more what I was talking about, like how it's really just never stopped because so many people keep that way of thought and that way of acting going that it's just.
I've seen
I-
that.
I
in
don't
some
know
high
because
school
I think I've changed a lot since high school. I'm definitely way more self confident now.
Well, I
than
said
was
that too. I
back
said
then.
some of us did change and grow up, but so many people in the world didn't. Is the problem that
I'm
it
much
just still
better
feels
as an adult out of high school, living the life that I've had since then, on my own terms and doing my own things. So yeah, high school is not something I would want to relive. I didn't have a bad high school career. I'm not saying that it was bad
right.
or anything like that. I'm just saying that I'm much better off now than I was back in high school.
Right. I'm not saying relive it though. I'm just saying that because so many people are still stuck in the whole catty bullshit drama mentality in life that it just feels like we never really leave high school because of that, the social aspect.
in certain
Well, I guess I've
workplaces,
been
it
lucky
is
in that
that.
regard since I wasn't really involved in the whole caddy drama bullshit of high school. Because
Then you were very lucky.
I mean, I guess that is one thing about
Sucks.
not being able to go out and socially interact with people.
Man, people are assholes, man, and they're still assholes.
Our
Yeah, well,
our 20-year celebration is coming up, and people are like, "Oh, we're doing something. Hey, we should get a hold of everybody. This and that." And me and one of my classmates, we made the agreement. If he doesn't go, I won't go, and if I don't go, he won't go. So we have to both find a adjustable reason to help the other person out,
Right.
because
I
my
say skip and
classmates.
go to Waffle House.
Oh, that's what I got for my birthday from my parents, a $50 gift card.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
okay with that idea.
I was going to say that's what I got from my parents, a Waffle House.
Oh, dude, I'd
For
get
me.
you. I'd never be a skinny man if I had a Waffle House.
I think high school was only all right for me because I didn't give a shit. I really just didn't give a shit whether people liked me or didn't like me. I did my thing. I went to school. I got good grades. And the only really good memories I have from then is because I had some friends that I'd just known forever. And we made good memories. We
Right.
did stupid shit together. And that was, without them, fuck no, man.
But
Handful
you
of
did
people.
the stupid stuff, but in a safe manner.
Dude, it was the 90s. It was not at all a safe manner. We
Oh,
survived
man.
it. Well, most of us survived it, but casualties along the way.
As for me, and if Dell was here right now, she would corroborate. But for me, I tend to agree with Ron that it wasn't terrible, but it's at the same time I do have pleasant memories from there, but that was in the past now, and I didn't really blossom much until I went to college and discovered that there are other people like me out there. I just need to find them and interact with them. Whereas in high school, it was a little more centralized with the concept of normal being something else. So I got a lot of teasing for that, but I learned to take it in stride. I also learned the value of that, of just losing myself in a great book, hanging out in the library. I did get into weightlifting simply because the weight room had a great stereo and I could bring my music and play it for everybody. And like today we are listening to a band called Suicidal Tendencies, but no, I am glad I didn't peak in high school. I know there were a couple in my class that kind of did, but I hold no ill will against anybody who from that time period that teased me, and I wasn't really necessarily bullied, just the odd guy that
Yeah.
I mean, kids are terrible people, they'll do that just be, and hopefully they'll mature and learn, that this is not necessarily a good thing. But I did go to the first couple of high school reunions for maybe a couple of hours, an hour or two, just to mingle, see how everybody's doing, and then I'm good. I didn't go to the last one because they held it at a bar that wasn't in our hometown, and you had to pay to get in. Wasn't happening.
Yeah.
That
was well planned.
So
I think Pyle's got the next question for us.
Well, we haven't heard from Jenny about her high school
No,
career.
go ahead, Jenny.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right. I forgot because we were on the topic of accidents, and then we switched over somewhere, and then my brain just somehow died in the middle. But you're right. Go for
as
it.
it does.
I'd rather be here than back in high school. High school was a nightmare in so many ways. I feel like I have so much more control now over anything that happens in my life compared to then. There was death and pain and a whole bunch of people who thought they were better. So I think I'd rather be here.
See, all you have to do is work in retail or
Yeah.
any version of the entertainment industry, Hans included, to experience what high school is like. Cliques, mean girls, dumbass people. Sometimes not all
Nursing
Hans,
system.
but
Yeah.
and not
Nursing
all.
system
But
same way.
yeah, nursing. Yeah, nursing systems too. Yeah,
Something-
that's what I'm saying when I say is no matter we can all be out of high school, but we're still ultimately trapped there for the rest of our lives because of other people's inability to leave it behind.
Something happens to you when you turn 30. I noticed. You stop giving a crap about what all the young people think about you.
Amen.
You're no longer what I call a recovering adolescent. And right now I'm 50. And I remember in my 30s while working at Jimmy John's, I remember the moment I realized I'm a fucking adult was when I was telling one of the 19-year-old drivers that he said, "I'm younger and faster," and I hit him back with the old fried green tomatoes quote, "I'm older and I have more insurance."
Yep.
James, I
Like-
want to speak on that point real quick, if I may, about
Yeah.
when I turned 30. Yeah, because I went, I think, through much the same kind of experience. When I was 30, the year was 2002, and I had just gotten back from teaching English in Tokyo and trying to figure out what the hell to do next with my life. So I ended up working at Kmart and living in a one-bedroom apartment. And when I turned 30, my 30th birthday, and I'm examining my life, and I thought, is this it? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Because, I mean, at 30, aren't you supposed to be, like married and having kids and buying houses and all of that stuff? And because I'm looking at all the people that I went to high school and college with, and that's what they seem to be doing. They were getting married, they're starting their lives and buying houses and starting careers and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm still working a part-time job and going to a community college and living out of boxes in a one-bedroom apartment. What am I doing wrong? I had this whole identity crisis, and it's made me think of that show 30 something from the early 80s,
Yeah, that's
which I had never watched because I was only like 10 years old, so I never thought about it too much. And then once I turned 30, I really wanted to watch that show to figure out what it was about that show, the 30 something people living these lives. And then while I was working at Kmart, this is where I started learning that maybe my life's not so bad, because I'm hearing all of the background stories. I'm hearing all of these people's personal stories about their lives and the fact that they're coming from broken homes, and people have drug addictions, and they've got, child custody battles and all this stuff happening. I went, you know what? My life's not that bad. If this is what, 30 is supposed to be like, then fuck it. I'm going to lean into it. And I shit you not, my early 30s was like the best fucking time of my life, because once I realized that I had all that freedom and availability and independence and I was making money, shit, man, I went out, I was partying all the time. I was going out like every weekend. I was going to concerts, and I was hung around with this girl named Leia at the time, and we had like mutual friends and bands going to concerts and all of that. And I leaned into it. I leaned into it hard. And I do not regret it in the slightest. Anyway, sorry about
question
that.
jumping. We keep question jumping.
Yeah, I know.
Poor Pyle's been waiting to ask this question 2
Go ahead,
questions
Pyle.
It's fine. It's fine. I've done everything. I've listened. I've gassed myself out. I've had to turn off the camera and air out the area. Boy. So anyway,
I got to Michelle last night. It's that barbecue at the hot, man. I'm telling you, it killed me.
oh. Anyway, Have you ever sent a text message to the wrong person and had to really quickly talk your way out of that text message?
Give us an example, because I feel like you have.
So, okay, we had one of the people pop in here. It's one of my friends. Her name is Jessica. She was sitting at the restaurant with me, and we all agreed that this one person could screw up a wet dream. And I told her, I said, you should text that to this other person. And she texted to the wrong person. She texted that to the person that she was saying it to or saying it about. And she hit send. And then she goes, ha. I said, what's wrong? And she goes, I said it to her, not to the other person. I said, how you playing this one out? And she goes, that was to my other person, same name. I was like, you're not getting away with this.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna fly.
And then all of a sudden she reminded me that she was blonde. And she got away with it. But yeah, she popped in, said hi, and I was like, you know what? This is a great question in the world of technology, text messages, voicemails, emails. You can really quick accidentally send it to the wrong person. I'm sure someone else has done it.
Oh yeah, I've done it a couple times, man, and each time I was like, oh well, that really wasn't meant for you, but it is about you. But you already knew how I felt, so have a good one. But that's the thing about me, though. Like, you'll never hear me like talk about someone behind their back. It's shit that I've actually said to their face already first. Like, before I'll say anything about someone, I've already said it to their face first. I've always been that way. I don't know why.
I've never done it, but I've had it happen to me. Like, I would receive the text that was meant for somebody else, and wackiness ensues.
I don't know if I've ever done it, and I'm sure, if I have, I don't think it was on a grand fuck up scale like, that probably was, that it leaves a lasting impression in my brain.
Now, the fun ones are always the ones that you read about where it's like they accidentally send, like, if they're having an affair, and then they send their significant other, like, they're complaining about their significant other and then send it to their significant other.
Yep.
Like, yeah, those are the fun ones.
I've seen some clickbait articles where it's like, 20 times where this happened. I'm like, okay, I got nothing to do. Let's see what these are. These sound like stupid and hilarious. And you'll see the one where the girl was sexting her boyfriend ever and calling him daddy, but what she didn't realize is that she was actually messaging her actual father, and he was confused as fuck about what was happening.
Oh yes.
That's like that video. Just for clarity, that way we ain't grabbing for the same salt. How about you call him dad and you call me daddy? But no, now that you said that, I was actually in a relationship. I knew it wasn't going to go well, this and that. She was hung up on me. And for anybody to be hung up on me, you need to see a doctor. But no, she just absolutely thought I was better than sliced bread. So we were talking about everything, and she got at the point, I was like, you know what? I got to break this off, this and that. And I sent this entire message, and I was like, this is in the format that I'm telling a friend. You know what? This is actually being sent to her. I'll hit that. And I sent it to her. All the questions of, are you talking to someone else? Are you this and that? And it's like, you know what? I meant what I said in that. And I feel like we need to go our separate ways. I've been trying to kind of tell you for a while, but now you're moving. And when you're moving a 45 minutes more away from me.
Right.
Well, I thought we could have a relationship together. No. And she goes, well, you sent me all this. Yep, I did. So you sent me a list of complaints. I said, well, not exactly, but these are the things I just don't feel like a match with you on. She goes, so what would be the list of complaints if you would put a list of complaints? Pretty much what that is.
James is over here like getting ready to start his concerto. It's like, oh, this is gonna be an opus.
And I
watch it burn.
I seriously was being as honest as I could in this and that. And she told me, she goes, you know what? I need to tell you something. I said, what's that? And she goes, I haven't told my family about you at all. I'm sorry. I just didn't feel it was the right time. And I was like, okay, because I didn't plan on telling my family about you.
Thank God. That's one less awkward conversation I need to have at the supermarket when I run into someone.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, and I never met the parents. I never met this and that. And it was fine. It was just, you know, it wasn't going to work out. I seen the writing on the wall. Tried to slowly get myself out of it. And it was just one night. I was like, you know what? I need to send this text message. And I was like, this kind of looks like I was sending it to a friend, but I'm going to end up just sending it to her anyway and see how it plays. And she just took it as I sent it to the wrong person. Nope, I sent it to the right person. But that's what you do in a little village, you know?
Yeah, that's what you do in the village where when one pole goes down, the power goes up for everybody.
I mean,
in the town next to it, you know, the village next to it. then
it was a pole on fire, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It set the electricity back. It took out the whole substation.
A pole. And then somewhere in Dayton, the light bulb on someone's porch flickered.
The pole is on fire. The pole is on fire.
We don't need no water. Let them.
It's every time Kyle or Pyle's village goes out, one of the light bulbs in the haunt burns out. It just, you know, it works that way somehow. We lose a black light somewhere in the clown area.
My friend just texted me. I figured out what you're talking about. It's the wet dream comment. Yep.
Nice.
Hey, Pyle,
Jenny.
the village called. They want their idiot back.
Oh no, I'm the creepy guy in the village. I have skeletons in my yard. That they have put a please do not put those out of season in your front yard.
And a kid in a box on your front porch and the bodies.
The most
That I slowly
hilarious
bring
one.
out. That way Dad can mow them over. Oh, yeah.
Most hilarious one, sitting at the funeral for my aunt, and I receive a text message. I know it's not for me. How does she think she can get out of this stupid algebra test with that blatant lie of saying she had to go to a funeral? I sent her back a picture of the casket from where I was sitting. It's like, oh, because I really am at one. Thank you. That was like my favorite one ever to get because I'm like, really? But
Reel in the
yeah.
body and prove it.
Hang on, I'll snap a selfie with the corpse.
Next time you got to message you back after the picture. Like, I'm thinking about bringing you back like actual proof, so you don't think I'm faking this. Arm or leg?
Yeah.
Ooh, drumstick.
Wait. Let's take a selfie.
Wow, Grandma.
Do you think I don't ever have like photographic evidence of funerals?
No, what you need to do is you got to take like your glasses, put them on the corpse, and then get a newspaper with today's date and put it in their hand, and then just like I said, selfie with them. You know, today's newspaper date. It's all the
Or when your boss texts you, "Where are you at?" I'm taking a shit. What do you want?
Yeah.
Where are you at your desk? What do you
My
want?
boss has accidentally texted me, hey, I need to see you in my office immediately. I said, okay. So I parked the semi, walk in. He's like, what's going on? He goes, what are you doing here? I said, you told me you needed to see me immediately. He goes, oh, no, I didn't. Oh! I said, what? He goes, Where were you? South Charleston, over an hour and a half away. And he goes, that's why I didn't show up. And I said, oopsies.
See, while I was briefly driving for Werner, we employ rednecks, no experience required. It was the training period, so they sent me off on a dedicated route with a trainer, a guy named Travis. And mind you, this was 2004. So before there was texting, but you had to like tap the number like several times just to get a specific
letter,
and
Oh,
it
yeah.
was just a pain in the ass. But Travis was telling me this one time that he got while on the road, he has this thing with his wife where, you know, if she answers the phone, he starts talking kind of dirty to her, you know, hey there, lady. When I get there, I'm gonna, and then from there on. So one time he was telling me that one time he called the house and he thought it was his wife that answered, but instead it was their 17-year-old daughter, and who it started sounding a lot like her mom, to be fair, but he started in on that whole saucy shtick of his and freaked her the fuck out. So that had to be, you know, taken care of.
It was awkward at breakfast dinner.
So I've got some friends that are officers, and one of our buddies was right there, right beside our officer friend. And our buddy goes, hey, he's like, yeah. He goes, my wife's calling, answer it. He swipes and he goes, hello. And she is being so dirty over this phone. And he goes, I feel like I need to stop you right there. This is officer, and tells the name. He goes, I don't feel like we need to inform you of everything that's going on right now on what's happening as it unveils, but I feel like did you have good conversation prior to this one? And she goes, yeah, what's going on? He goes, I don't want to take your good mood out of you, but it's not going to be a good mood here in a little bit. And she started like going dreadful of this and that. And then our buddy comes back and he goes, did you have fun with my wife on the phone? He goes, yeah, pretty sure she thinks you're dead. And he goes, oh, that's going to be great. And he goes and grabs the phone, unmutes it, and goes, hello. And she goes, can you please tell me anything? He goes, oh, I'm sorry. I was in the bathroom taking a crap. And our buddy's an officer. I said, you know what? Entertain her. And she goes, I don't like him. He's not funny. And he's like, what did you tell him? I'm pretty sure she thinks you're dead, buddy. It's not funny. We thought it was great.
That's epic.
So in 2012, we only had one phone. That's all we could afford. And my friend's husband decided he wanted to start something. And Josh has the phone. He's at work, and he starts receiving pics of the lower regions
The cash and prizes.
questions of things. So he brings it back and asks what's happening. And I'm like, well, I just found out what my friend doesn't know is her husband is cheating on her and trying to cheat on her with me. Have you answered him yet? He's like, no. Well, I'm going to contact her on Facebook and you answer that phone call. He did not like that.
Wow. That's nuts.
That was so not cool.
People.
And no, I'm not saying all men are bad. I have like 4 of the best ones here and 3 of them that I live with. So, yeah.
So, are we ready for another question here?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. As soon as your phone rings, have you ever just looked at the caller ID and said, "Nope, not today"?
All the time.
Yes, every
I-
day.
Today.
I almost never answer my phone because I've seen the color ID, like almost ever.
Raz, me and you are awesome friends, and I don't even actually have your phone number. I just call you off of Facebook.
Well, the thing is, no one has my phone number and has for a while. I mean, some people do, but like everyone that actually has it doesn't use it because they know I'm not going to answer it for one reason or another. I always have really shitty phones first, like the shitty government phones. I just don't give a fuck about phones. So, and I always had the shittiest service. And for like the last couple of years, I've either lived in a really bad hotel room with like, even if when I had service, it was just spotty as shit, or I live in a basement with so much shitty service doesn't even really come down here. So the only way to really reach me is you can text me, and sometimes I might text you back if I even look at my phone. But if you know me, just message me on like Facebook or Discord or whatever. Like that's the only time I ever answer, or my email.
I'm gonna praise the person that actually invented caller ID because it's so nice to have that feature to avoid telemarketers and spammers and scammers and all of the unknown numbers that I don't know what they are, and people trying to reach me about extending my car's auto insurance, even though I don't own a car. And,
I give them the VIN number off of a hearse
it's
or
just,
off of one of the semis.
back in the 80s when you still had rotary phones and you had the little curly pigtail cord that extended all throughout the house. It was like playing roulette whenever somebody would call because you didn't know what it was going to be,
Oh yeah.
It's just like you have to answer the phone because it might be your mom, but it could also be, Columbia House wanting you to pay for, the records that you racked up. And
Yeah, I know.
Or you're trying to hide out from the debt collectors.
Exactly.
And it's just easier now.
At least
Yeah,
back then they
it
did
really
want to talk
is.
to us about our car's extended warranty. And Pyle, you have my number now. It's not gonna do you any good, but you there you go, buddy.
I seen that, and I'm like, well,
Anybody can have it. I'll give anybody my number. I don't give a shit. Just don't expect me to answer the phone.
my buddy.
My buddy.
My buddy.
So let me go ahead and just tell you, he was just having one of those frustrating days, and he was working with me, and he had a chipper shredder, and we're going ahead and we're putting all these branches in the chipper shredder, and when we're putting all the branches in the chipper shredder, all of a sudden he looks at his phone, and he sees the number, sees the information pop up, and he goes, "Yep, not today," and throws it. And
Not
he was
today,
notorious for
Cindy.
throwing it, but he threw it into the chipper shredder. This is the first time. And if Chris ever sees this, Chris remembers this because I look at him and say, "How's the phone's extended warranty?" And he goes, "Not through his chipper shredder, it wasn't." I mean, he was just like, "Nope, not today." And he threw it. And all of a sudden, boom. And I say, "Chris, that just went in the chipper shredder." He goes, "Oh, hell no, it didn't." And I said, "No, I'm serious." He shuts it off. He's like looking, and there's fragments everywhere. And he's like, I never
guarantee
would have
you.
thought. I would have never
guarantee
thought
you.
that thing would have destroyed like that.
I guarantee you, had that been a Nokia candy
It
bar
would
phone,
come out the other side.
that would have
He would have broke the chipper shredder.
right. It would have destroyed the shredder itself, and the phone would have just been fine. Maybe a small nick on the side.
No, this was one of the flip phones that had the full keyboard.
Oh, okay.
Try
He had
saying
the
chipper
full
shredder 10
keyboard.
times fast.
Like he just went ahead, looked at it, and he said, "Nope, not today." And he went to go throw it like he always did, just to get it away from him. And as soon as he did that, boom!
Not today.
And my face was just like, "Oh, that's funny."
That always reminds me of the scene from Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
I love it. I'm still waiting for the sequel they keep promising. Every now and then they talk about it, the sequel a little bit more, like every couple years or so, and they're still talking about it, and they just still have.
It's like, just
I don't
do
know,
it, man.
You can't really top that scene, though. You can't really top that movie.
Where the kid jumps in it.
Dude,
It's so
Tyler
good.
Labine and
You
Alan
know-
Tudyk could find a way to top it. I have full faith that they could find a way.
I mean, that was hilarious. He's like, man, these kids are crazy. They're just throwing themselves in the chipper shredder.
That was a great
Friday,
movie.
you got anything?
Yeah, it was.
I got anything? Okay, what was the question? Because I got
There was a question.
There was a question.
You're
About
not
the
the boss
caller
of me
ID?
now.
Okay, the caller ID thing. Yeah, I do that like multiple times a day, but I don't always throw my phone. Only once. But luckily, it didn't like break. But yeah,
See, I don't throw my phone. These little shitty phones I always had, they would just crumble. Like,
I
Completely.
don't know who Darshay Willis is, but they keep thinking we have him here somewhere in the closet or basement,
you're
and I'm
hiding
like,
him.
because they think we can get him on the phone. It's like no.
Next time they call me, like, Darcy, shut up. They're calling again. Hello?
It was about 2001, I believe. My friend Brian got one of his first cell phones, and he got they assigned him a number, and we had to go through a couple of weeks where whoever had that number before, their friends were still calling that number. One particular night, we were getting in his car to go downtown and meet some friends. We receive a call. The guy on the phone is kind of drunk. Hey, is Amy there? I'm like, sorry, you got the wrong number. Hang it up. Received a just about less than a minute. He calls back. I'm like, hello, and Brian is driving, so that's why I'm answering his phone. I'm like, hello, and then, seriously, could you put Amy on? I'm telling you, you have the wrong number. Click. Calls back again, and then finally I go, and they go, Amy's dead. And I turn to Brian and go, so the person we killed was named Amy, and okay.
You just reminded me of something I did recently. I'll let you finish the story before I tell you that.
Then I basically went, could you do us a favor? Tell us where you are so we can tie up some loose ends.
Oh,
Yeah,
I had
we didn't hear back from him.
Don't know why.
I had this random person text me. This was just like about a month or two ago, and they were trying to reach someone in particular, and I don't even remember what the name was. And I was like, I'm really bad about fucking with people. When they message me on Facebook or like weird spam emails, I respond to people and like I play stupid fucking head games. Well, my phone happened to be near me and it was a text. And again, I rarely look at my phone. It just happened to be near me, and I saw it. I was like, I showed Michelle. I was like, "You think I should fuck with him?" She's like, "Yeah, why not?" I was like, "All right." So I get on this phone and I'm like, I'm looking at the area code. I'm trying to see where they were, and they were from Columbus. I just, it was known that I knew or knew me, and I didn't know who this person they were asking for was. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm with the Columbus police. Your friend's phone is in evidence, and we've been trying to go through the numbers and reach people, but no one's messaged back. But now that I have you, we're trying to identify their body right now. But I was speaking very formally, like not how I am at the moment. I was being very formal and specific about it, very like business-like and serious. And at first she thought it was a joke. I was like, "No, ma'am." And I gave her a random the number to the precinct where she could call if she wanted to confirm it, and I gave her a fake name if she wanted to confirm. I just kept going round and round till finally she believes me. She's like, "Oh my God, what happened?" I was like, "Well, they were involved in a murder-suicide," and I just kept going just giving all this fucked up information, and they just kept messaging, and then I think we were almost into an hour of texting back and forth where I was feeling like, "No, I'm just fucking with you. This is a joke. I don't know who you're looking for." It was terrible. It was super terrible. I didn't think they would keep it going for so long, because the longer it's getting, I'm putting other little details to the point where this story is clearly starting to be unbelievable. They're just not picking up on the details that I'm putting in the text, and eventually they're just like, "Oh my God, I want to be so pissed at you right now, but what you did to me was just so fucking genius. I cannot bring myself to be upset. And that was the last message I ever got on that
Nice.
number.
Now, I will tell you, I get phone calls once in a while, and they'll be scammers. You can tell they're scammers, this and
Oh,
that.
yeah.
But there was one that and this is amazing, it was a woman that was on it, and she was trying to get the information, this and that. She goes, I need your full name. And I said, say what? And she goes, yes. This is the IRS. We have your house. We are going to surround it. I need your full name and we'll get this cleared up. And I said, okay, I think I can work with you on this. So she goes on and she's like, well, how do you spell your full name? And I told her, I was like, I'm going to rip that bra off of you. And she goes, excuse me? I said, I'm so sorry. I think I heard you totally wrong. What were you asking for? Fine. We'll go your social security number. What is your social security number? You give that to me. We can start the process right now. I said, I'm going to eat them underwear right off of you. And she goes, you think this is funny? I said, ma'am, I've been in prison for 7 years. And you are the first woman to talk to me. And I don't care. I'll go back to prison as long as I can nibble on you. And she goes and hangs up. And I'm like, well, that's not much fun. I called her back.
I was going to work in some Worcestershire sauce there, and
What's that?
I was going to work in some Worcestershire sauce.
Oh, dude, it was great. I mean, I called the number back, and I got a gentleman that goes, hello, this is the IRS. I said, I was talking to Tammy. Can I talk to Tammy again? And he goes, well, what's your name? I said, that's between me and Tammy. She wanted me to eat her underwear off. And he hung up. I was like, okay. It got to the point. They blocked my number.
Hold on.
Not go through no more.
Did that branch of the IRS only hire people from Germany? Because the accent you're using, it almost sounds like they may have been into it but couldn't.
I don't know what. I wasn't quite sure. It just didn't sound right, and she didn't sound like a Tammy. She might have sounded like a Brenda.
Hold on, let me turn on some.
Her underwear didn't taste like a Tammy.
Hey, Pyle, do you know what the German word for bra is?
No.
It's stoppinze floppenze.
Dude, I love those
Oh god.
The callers like that. They promised me that they would be at my house at 6. I'm like, fine, I'll have the pizza ready, or we'll make spaghetti. Ooh, I'll make spaghetti. I'll be ready when you get here.
Yeah.
And then nobody shows up.
Yeah.
I was at the police department one day, and they called. The police chief is sitting right there, and I answered the phone, and they told me that they had my house surrounded, and they could see me through a window. And I looked at him. I was like, is this the local police department? And he goes, yes. I said, you surrounded me? And he goes, I haven't done nothing to you.
It reminds me of this one time I received a phone call. It was unlisted, and I don't know why I answered. I just felt like, yeah, why not? It's been kind of a slow day. So I answered. And this lady with kind of a thick accent, but I could still understand her. She informed me, hello, this is so-and-so. I'm from Microsoft. We've received information that your computer is being hacked. Now, I had one computer at the time, and that had Ubuntu on there, which is a Linux platform, not Windows. But I decided to play along. I'm like, oh dear, that doesn't sound, even like, oh dear, could you help me out then? She's like, that would be fine. Could you give me your social security number? And I just kind of went slower. Slower. Yes. Okay. Um, um, could you give me your social security? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And, sir, could you? Oh, and then, I was sitting there going,
And this is why our show's rated 18. By the way.
like, almost there. Oh, I'm towel. Yep.
2563489.
I should have done the almost. Oh, there we are.
Wow.
Bingo.
Is there
Yahtzee.
another question, love?
I was gonna say this show really got away from us today. We probably have time to do one more question.
Okay.
Jen, you
Okay.
got one?
Friday
I
is
have,
just
like,
sitting there amazed.
12,000. Okay. Let's go with what is your favorite accomplishment?
What is your favorite color? Blue. No, green.
Ah!
Favorite accomplishment.
My
Oh,
favorite
geez.
accomplishment.
Well, I haven't died.
I would say honestly becoming a parent. I know it sounds cheesy, but like, and it's a struggle, and it's supposed to be. But I learned a lot more about myself when I became officially responsible for other people, I guess, and it taught me a lot about myself and my capabilities. And every day when no matter how hard things get, you realize that I'm not exactly here for myself anymore. There's people that depend on me. There's things that I've got to do, and even on the really bad days, it just, you look at that and you're like, I do not like my child, but I love my child. I think all parents have had those days sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it's probably one of the best things I've done with my life, I'd say.
Hey, Raz.
Hmm.
How can you tell when a joke is a dad joke?
Go ahead.
When it becomes apparent.
Yep. I've heard that one before. It's a good one.
Living
I'll
through
never-
childbirth.
I'll never step on the punchline for a dad joke because they're such short jokes that it just ruins them for everybody.
Yes.
So
Right.
I got one here.
Favorite accomplishment.
Favorite accomplishment, absolutely. It is probably the third year of Chainer's Field operating. We're doing pretty good. Always can be better. And I'm putting forth all the effort I can, watching the kids do their things, their acting, coaching them as much as I can, trying to get away from administration to be the coach, because I'm pretty much what they got. So they got to kind of flag me down and ask me questions, and I'm very happy when they do. All of a sudden, there was a TikTok that caught my attention, and I was sitting at home, and I just got my gear off, and I was looking at my chainer mask, and I was looking at the helmet. And if you've never seen it, I wear a helmet with a face piece. I've made that entire thing and everything. I'm sitting there and I'm looking at TikTok, and I'm just watching haunt stuff over and over and over. And then all of a sudden, one video comes in, and it is almost completely dark. And it says, this voice comes on, and it says, this is my second year at Chainer's Field of Screams. We're in Botkins, and I'm enjoying this so much. And I'm just glad that this is here, because I've went through some hard times, and this is how I can feel like myself. So if you guys are around in Ohio, come to Botkins and come see Chainer's Field of Screams. And then you get to see all of us, as we get to scare you, and this is the biggest therapy for us.
Oh yeah.
And I stopped. I seriously stopped. And I said, you know what? I watched it again and again and again. I knew exactly whose voice that was. I knew what area they were in. I knew exactly everything. And I'm 6'1", 6'2", and over 350 pounds. I saw it on that and just start crying. Because that was success.
Oh,
that
yeah.
right there was the dreams, the hopes, and everything for that field to become a safe haven for people to express themselves, for people to act, people enjoy themselves, for the ones that needed a family and were missing something. Here it is. And these kids officially were so happy to have the mark of Chainer on them that they were talking about it and they were TikToking about it. And I'm just really excited to see that this person that would hide in the shadows has come to the light, got up in people's faces now, and said, I can do this and I don't need your approval on it.
Hell yeah.
And I've been very proud of this individual over and over again. And this is the first year that this individual has gotten some of the higher awards that we offer. And I can't wait to see this individual even more. And hopefully when she gets a rumbly in her tummy for fingers, she knows exactly where she needs to go.
Hell yeah, man.
What about you, Jenny? So you don't have to go last.
Living through childbirth and getting to see them get to be where they are now. Fixing to have a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and I have a 4-year-old.
You're not old enough to have kids that old.
I'm 37.
37. Sorry. Can't make that one. I should not do that particular joke.
You know, you guys are always awesome, and we all talk about the being a parent moment. And I'm really grateful that I do have my children. Seeing them grow up is absolutely proud moment after proud moment after proud moment.
Yeah.
You know, I just wanted to put that out there.
Except for, I'd say Brooklyn's her shining achievement was graduating from high school. Yeah, that's what you think. You wait for your kid to graduate high school and you have kids, and then you go back and you look at the picture. After her celebrating her graduation, but then finally realizing we took no pictures, and her getting back in her cap and gown and taking the picture of her diploma. And then you look at the picture later and you realize that her eyes are bloodshot and her diploma's upside down. And that's a real proud moment right there.
All right. Yeah.
I'll show you the picture next time I see you, Pyle. We have it.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to message her.
Yeah, message Brooke and ask her for it.
Oh my gosh.
It's hilarious.
And it's funny because I still have that on my arm from last night.
Yeah, I think she probably still has your signature too.
Stupid things we do. We're friends.
That's hilarious.
She eats Grandpa.
Yeah. And Matt snorts him.
What about you, James?
I don't have one. So I'm going to instead tell you guys the moment I realized I wanted to be a storyteller and a writer of fiction.
I would consider that one of those kind of moments, though.
Okay.
Personally, I mean.
Keep in mind, I've been a voracious reader since I could remember. One of my earliest memories was of accidentally ruining my books in the bathtub because I wanted to continue reading, but I didn't really have the dexterity to keep it out of the water level. So a lot of my children's
books. Ruined so many paper books. Like, we're going to stick them on top of the heating vent and hope it worked out, and it never did.
So I still have the little golden books and like old comic books that has a little watermark on the bottom where it just went dip, and yeah. But and I do remember, to keep myself occupied, on the ride back from Washington State after my parents split up. It was a 3-mile bus ride, a 3-day bus ride. And during that time, I wrote an entire story of this Eskimo who went on a journey in the snowy realms of the north, and he had a pet polar bear. I was 9, but that's been lost to the sands of time. But the moment I realized I really, really want to tell stories like this, and specifically in the vein of like horror stories and dark fantasy kind of stuff, I was at a sleepover at a friend's house when I was in 5th grade. Now, keep in mind, I live in a rural setting, so we spent the night at the guy's farm. It was about 6 of us. We spent the time in the grove of trees, kind of playing, messing around. And when evening came, we set up a bonfire and sat around, made hot dogs and roasted marshmallows, that kind of thing. Then we, when the sun went down, we started telling ghost stories.
Right.
And they told the standard ones, like the Golden Arm story, and several other ones that my imagination was just my mind picturing everything that they were talking about. And mind you, my story was kind of lame, but that's when I realized I want to do this. I want, because that kind of fiction fascinated me. I also, whenever somebody described a horror movie that came out, like that was the same year that I believe the first Nightmare on Elm Street came out, and just having a friend who actually saw it describing it to me was far more scarier in my head than when I actually saw it.
Yeah.
Got around to seeing it. And I tried to I would capture these down on paper, but I couldn't figure out the way to actually describe it at the time, because again, I was 5th grade and wasn't really reading a lot of adult horror at the time, mostly kids books. And the rural school we were going to had a, let's just say, they were the types of books that they got from the Fremont Library to have us check out were strictly monitored, more or less. But fortunately, I kept on with it. My grandma had a couple of like those old school typewriters, like manual typewriters, that she let me mess around with, and it was the hunt and peck method. I didn't really learn how to type until I was a sophomore in high school. So, but going from there, I always had a ream of loose leaf notebook paper, and I would always start. I was good at starting the stuff, but not really following through. But finally, when I was 15, yeah, those are great. But when I was 15, around the time I was about to turn 16, I requested for Christmas 2 things, and I got one of them. One of them was a copy of Stephen King's The Dark Half, which was just released.
It's my favorite of
the hardcore cover, yeah, which I didn't get. But I also asked for a Smith Corona electronic typewriter with the ability to erase automatically, which I did get.
Nice.
And I remember that Christmas morning, I brought it down to my room downstairs in the basement, and I wrote my first full short story, which I'm currently that original one, again, lost in time, but I remember it, and I'm kind of sort of in the middle of adapting it more for, now that I'm 50, give it a little more pizzazz, as it were. It was just like a five-page double-spaced kind of one, typed on one side because that's how I learned how to type, that kind of thing. But yeah, so I was in 5th grade, sitting around, telling ghost stories outside around a fire nearby a grove of trees when this was in October too. So cold breeze blowing through the trees, and then one point all the coyotes started howling, and that's when we decided to go inside and watch Friday night videos.
Right.
So anyway,
Thanks, man.
that went on longer than I thought it would.
So
Well, that's a
Ron,
good story, though. I actually enjoyed that, James.
Yeah.
Learning a bit more about you and why you got into writing and all of that. And I would say that a lot of my background with writing is the same way. And I was thinking about that because Jenny and I have that unwritten pages, unpublished pages coming up on this coming Thursday when the book is released. And hoping that she was going to ask me some questions about my whole writing background and how I got into it and all of that. So I was really interested in your story for that reason. I too have a lot of those stories that have been lost to time that still sit in my mind, though I don't think that if I were to write them now, I could do them the same justice that, my 10 or 11-year-old mind would do or did do at the time that I wrote them back then. But my favorite accomplishment, that's really hard to say because I feel like I have accomplished quite a bit in my life. Getting my black belt being one of them. Accomplishing all of this stuff with a visual acuity disability, I guess you can take it or leave it because people are going to accomplish things if they want to accomplish things. But I mean, I've done a lot in my life without ever really letting my vision set me back from doing the things that I want to set my mind to doing. But one of the biggest accomplishments I think that I have achieved overall is getting a little personal, rebuilding my life after my divorce. Now, I won't say much about the divorce because there's really not a lot to say about it. It was a no contest divorce. There was nothing split up, and we both agreed to it. There was no custody battle because we didn't have any kids. But, I got kicked out.
That's like exactly what I went through with my divorce. Literally like to a T.
Yeah. I got kicked out of the house that we were living in, and I had to go find my own place. And I ended up living with this 18-year-old kid. And all he wanted to do was, drink, do drugs, and fuck, and party all the time. And pretty much in that order. And it was a bad scene for me because, I'm in my 30s and he's 18. And I was like, I can't have you bringing all these underage kids around and drinking and doing drugs and, all that shit, because if the cops get called, who are they going to look at? Right. They're going to look at you? No. They're going to look at me. But, so whenever he would have his parties, whatever, I tried to make myself scarce, not be there, do anything else so that I didn't have to be around it if something were to happen. Then he ended up moving out and moved back in with his father, and I was living on my own, and that was one of the worst times in my life. The darkest time in my life, where if I were going to cause self-harm to myself, That's redundant. Self-harm to myself. If I were going to do something to cause self-harm, it would have been that time. But I didn't. I threw myself into working out and lifting weights and finding anything I could do so that I wouldn't have to dwell on it. That lasted for several months. I couldn't find a job. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't pay my bills. I could barely pay my rent. It sucked. One of the blackest times of my life. But then my sister called me and she says, I'm thinking about refinishing my basement. How would you feel about moving up to Ohio and renting out the basement? And I said, basically, okay. I moved up to Ohio. I had nothing. I sold off pretty much almost everything that I owned just to get the money to make the trip up here. I lived with my sister for the first year that I was in Ohio. In that time, I got a job. I got a girlfriend. Started working at a haunt. And it's been constant ever since. I have rebuilt my life from the ground up with absolutely nothing to my name to get to where I am now with a steady career that I absolutely enjoy, making decent money. I'm in my own place. I've got everything I need. And I feel like that's a great accomplishment to go from being divorced in the darkest time of your life to having absolutely nothing and no support to turning everything around and getting to where I am now. So I think out of all the things that I've done, I think that's my greatest accomplishment. And the fact that I did it all without my parents' help. And I come from a tight nuclear family. My parents have been married for 55 years. And we get along well. Now, I know if I had asked them back then, hey, can I borrow some money? Or, I need to move back in with you for a bit until I can get back on my feet. They would have said yes, because we had that kind of relationship. But I didn't. I never asked them for anything. And I got up here on my own. I did that shit on my own. And I rebuilt my entire life from nothing.
That's amazing, man.
You rock.
I'm pretty fucking proud of it.
Should be.
You should be.
So, did you guys notice that I poofed for a second?
Yes.
Something really funny happened in a really inopportune moment because Ron was telling us his story, and I could hear this story the whole time. But I happened to look up, and there was something like crawling on the edge of the camera, and I didn't know what it was. And not even thinking about it, I went like this, and I hit my camera and knocked it halfway across the room and had to mute real quick. I'm so sorry about that. And Michelle's dying.
Now Judy's
perfectly
done it too, so there you go.
No, I
And
have a
Michelle's
perfectly
cramp.
awesome.
Yeah, she was back here like dying, laughing in the background. I'm like, thank God it's mute right now because my camera, it flew. If the furnace wouldn't have been there, it'd probably went to the other wall in the basement.
Is that your wife laughing in the background?
Yeah.
Actually, that made me think when James was telling his story earlier, and both Pyle and Jenny went off camera. I thought, wouldn't that be funny if all four of us went off camera while James was speaking? Like, what would he think if all four of us just suddenly went off camera at the same time? Like, okay, guys, like, fuck you.
No, I want to hear every single story, but my legs are cramping so bad, and I didn't think anybody wanted to stare at my stomach. So, yeah.
It's that time of year where like it warmed up really quick, and there's these stink bugs.
Stop.
No nipples.
Stop.
Remember, we don't want to get. We don't want to see your superfluous third nipple.
She likes them big. She likes them chunky.
When it warms up just before spring in Ohio, sometimes these little stink bugs will start coming around like pretty much everywhere. And it was one of those on the camera, and I didn't know what the fuck it was. I was just like, no, get off the camera.
He was looking for a nice padded cell to sleep in.
I guess so.
Yes.
Well, guys, we've been doing this for about 2 hours and 40 minutes now.
Jeez,
Once again,
11:45.
yep. So we are gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Just want to thank everybody at home for putting up with our shit when we talk about absolutely nothing, and thank you guys for coming to hang out. Yeah, we can do the where can you find this thing if you want to. Whoever wants to start that can pop in there and do that. Anyway,
Okay.
Bueller.
Well, you can
It's always
find.
you, Pyle, first.
Is that your identical twin behind you, Pyle?
No, no. I decided I was going to and change this and get ready for something else that's coming up tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram, which don't expect much on Instagram because you ain't getting nothing very much. And as it goes on, I'm thinking about going ahead and redoing some stuff on YouTube because me and Raz is thinking about doing some adventures.
Yeah.
Well, directly after this, right before I hopped onto the podcast, I managed to record, edit, and stitch together this week's episode of Necro Shock Radio. So that's waiting to be uploaded right after I get off of here. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, you can find me on the porch yelling at clouds and yeah. Here on the Owlite Network as well.
Hi, Ron. My God, aren't you a good-looking individual? I love that freshly shaved head, getting that little Mr. Clean look right there.
Squeaky, squeaky,
You can show a movie on my head now.
squeaky, squeaky.
Hi, people. You can find me on YouTube under Wolf Dojo and on TikTok also under Wolf Dojo, although YouTube does not get updated as much as TikTok does. I am now a member of the board of directors for the International Neoclassical Karate and Kabuto Society. Try saying that 10 times faster. It just rolls off the tongue, or as we like to call it, INKS.
Inks is
And we will
easier.
be, what's that?
Inks is so much easier. I'd rather just share the video. That's been easier.
Okay, you can share the video if you want. We have a seminar coming up next Saturday in West Plains, Missouri. I will be teaching stretching and flexibility and some kicking drills. Very much looking forward to it. And you can also find my author page now that my book will be releasing this coming Thursday. I'm so excited about it. And we will be doing an unprinted pages with Miss Friday right there
I
up
can't
above me.
wait.
Yay. And she will be asking me all kinds of questions about my writing background and the process and everything that you never wanted to know about yours truly. And I don't know what else to say, so I'm just rambling. So go ahead and take it away, Raz.
Well, you can find me here on the Owlite Network all the time, sometimes for 24 hours straight. Tomorrow, we at our normal time, 9 p.m., we have Legends by Night popping up with an alien episode. So join us as we talk about all things aliens. Otherwise, if you want to find me, just really believe in yourself, because I am a figment of your imagination.
Big Newton of my imagination.
Raz was in all of you all along.
Oh, is that what I was feeling? Ooh.
It was.
Well, my butt hurts. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's your imagination, buddy.
Remember, probing is tomorrow.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Cryptids. Okay.
You can find me here. You can find me on Fakehor. You can find me on Friday's Library in the Blue Box. My group is Friday's Disorganized Library. And I have an author page under Jennifer.
What was that?
Jeffner. That is my nickname. Literally. I've called Jeffner so many times.
Gipner.
Under Jennifer Elliott. So please, possibly.
Ginny Pig.
read or listen to any of our stuff and come back and find us here randomly 3 days a week.
Pretty
I
much.
have this like
Be-
mental image of like this scene in Ace Ventura where Ace Ventura is like bending over and talking out of his ass, but Ron's doing it and my voice is coming out.
Excuse me.
Before we leave, can we go
What
back to
problem?
Ron and blow him up real fast? I got a song for him.
Whoa.
What now? What are we doing?
Okay,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
definitely- we're gonna stop this now because that's gonna get us banned on Facebook.
You don't want me to stand up. I'm just wearing compression shorts and nothing else. So
Yep.
That's
Alrighty
that's
then.
going to haunt
Bye,
my
people.
nightmares.
But we're good and nuts. Get the fuck out.